Sorry, that's not appropriate for the show. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I'm here with Sydney Davis, Jr. How you doing there, Sydney?
Pew, 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 pew. What's up? How's it going?
Going pretty good. Been having a pretty full day here, at the house. Actually, it was really relaxed sort of day. I've been playing PlayStation 5 a lot because I'm off work until the new year, so I've just got a lot of time on my hands and everything. And I'm wondering how was your holidays?
It was good. This is one of the first years where we didn't travel to see family. We're going to do our traveling in January. So I have a greyhound. I have an Italian greyhound. So we took him to the dog park and just ran him until he fell asleep. And then that's what we do every day. Basically, that's like you can't do anything else in the day until you've run your greyhound until they're tired. So we dressed him up in a Christmas sweater. You probably saw the pictures, and then walked him around town, got a lot of attention, and then ate good food, and here we are.
Awesome. That sounds great. Now, for everybody in the comments right now, we're going to banter here for a little bit while we get calls queued up and everything. But if you do know somebody out there that would like to call in or would like to interact with a couple of atheists here, then please do call in. It is 720-619-2288. What?
You're an atheist?
What?
Wait, what? Hold on a second. I am evangelical.
But there's also a call-in link that you can hit up in the description if you are outside of North America. But do call in at 720-619-2288. Also hitting the like button on the video here. Also, if you're in the chat, there's also this cool little heart thing that's down there next to the chat thing. If you just like spend a couple of seconds like just quickly pushing one of those buttons, I'm sure that helps in some kind of algorithmic way. But Sydney, do you want to tell everybody kind of who you are, what you do, and
Sure.
Your expertise and all that?
Yeah. So for anybody who has never been to my channel before, which is probably the majority of the people here, my name is Sydney Davis Jr. I have a podcast called Growing Up Fundy, where I talk to people who grew up in high control religions and other high control environments about basically where they come from, how it impacted who they are today, things they've learned, whether they're atheist now, agnostic, whether they switched religions. So I talk to a lot of people about cults and things like that, real people, normal people. And then I'm trying to think what else. I am a professional debater. I also have a master's degree in writing. So I spend a lot of time writing and talking and debating and coaching debate. And I'm fascinated with studying how humans communicate with one another. And then I have a lot of pets. So those are basically I think I hit all the brand items there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, recently, I was in a couple of your classes that you teach, and you've got a lot of great qualifications, and I really took away like a lot from those classes. Now, one of them was the conversational debate class. And I'm wondering, what's your background like in the whole debate scene? Because that's something I've been interested in for a while, like your background in particular.
Yeah. So I started doing debate when I was in college, and originally it was more of just for the scholarship money. But then I honestly like to attribute debate for how I transitioned from being a Christian Republican to a liberal atheist, because it basically made me argue on sides that I didn't agree with. So I did IPDA debate, which is International Public Debate Association. And that's essentially what you see when you're watching, say, like the presidential debate, where it's one person speaks, then the other person cross-examines, and then they speak, and then the other person cross-examines. But we don't get to pick what side of the argument we're going to debate. We find out when we get to the tournament what side we're going to be on. And so it forced me to do a lot of research on the opposite side of what I thought I believed about a lot of things. And I still had to debate as though I truly believed them in order to win these debates. And then the more research I did, the more I realized, oh, wait a second, this isn't what I thought it meant to be liberal. This isn't what I thought it meant to be Democrat. This is a lot different than what I've been hearing growing up in the South, below in the Bible Belt. And so that's where it started. And I have also done stand-up and storytelling for 16 years. I probably should have led with that in the beginning. And so when I was able to combine my ability to debate with inserting, humor and improvised statements and things like that, it just kind of exploded from there. And so that's kind of when I started to pay a lot of attention to how humans communicate with one another and how people communicate with one another and what makes something a good debate. And I think nowadays, especially in the US, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to what makes a good debate versus what makes a viral debate. And so nowadays I try to focus on the difference, how to be a really good communicator, how to be a really good conversational debater. It's not going to be like it is that you see on TikTok. It's not going to be like it is that you see on these internet forums. How do you debate in person, and how do you get the most out of your conversations, and common misconceptions when it comes to being a good debater?
Yeah. I think that a lot of people now are very interested in that particular aspect of it, just because of the nature
Yes.
of our socio-political environment. Having that's why all the debate shows now are like really, I guess, really popular. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many individuals out there that are doing it that are popular, and then of course we've got the line here where with all of our shows that we do. I think that people are really yearning to understand how to have better conversations, but also how to have better, to be able to debate better just in a normal conversation style. So I think that's going to be a valuable kind of thing to teach people.
Yeah, especially when you can get rid of the emotional aspect. Like I know that you and I talked about this in that class quite a bit, but when you remove the emotional aspect and you can have these conversations and these debates on a daily basis and not take anything personal and not let anything get to you, it takes a long time to get there. But once you've gotten there, life is so much better when you can't be offended by people whose opinions you don't care about to begin with. To put it simply.
Sorry, I'm trying to respond to our producer chat there. We do have somebody that's already called it. We've got calls lining up. So if you have a question that you want to ask either of us, definitely call in. The number is 720-619-2288. And we'll try to get to everybody that does call in. Of course, theists are going to get priority. So if you're on the line already and you're an atheist, we're going to try to get to you as quickly as possible. But we do want to prioritize those that are going to be a bit more combative in a discussion with us, or at least an opposition. So we've got Ulrich calling in from Mexico. What's up there, Ulrich? Now, it says right here that you don't think that Christian nationalism is real, and I'm wondering why you think that.
First, I think we need to find what is Christian nationalism. Could you define that?
Could you define that?
Maybe. Yeah, I was going to say, could you maybe define it for us? Because it depends on how you're defining it as your understanding.
Yeah. Okay, it means Christians want to take over the nation and make the Bible the law of the land, something like that. Is that accurate?
I mean, in a colloquial sense, I guess we could work with that understanding. I'm trying to bring up a more formal definition right now, but why do you think that doesn't exist right now?
Because that does not, it totally doesn't match with Christianity at all. I mean, it's contrary to what we actually believe.
So how so though? Sorry, yeah, you look like you're about to say something, Sydney. I'll let you go.
No, I'm interested to see the next couple of sentences before I gather my thoughts.
Okay, I mean, Christianity has always been the religion of freedom. It was always Christians who fought for freedom. Yes.
No. No, Ulrich, no.
Yeah, because you think Nazis are Christians and stuff like that. That's why you're wrong. That's Christian nationalism isn't real.
Say that. But we haven't even said that.
So, Ulrich, a better definition of Christian nationalism would be that it's a political ideology asserting that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation and should remain so, demanding that the government and laws reflect a specific, often conservative Christian identity, which involves fusing Christian beliefs with national identity, policy, and belonging, sometimes overlapping with white supremacy and opposing religious pluralism. And that all matches up with what the Bible says. So I don't know what in the fuck you're talking about.
Right, to put it frankly.
Okay. What you are describing here is exactly what the Nazis did talking about the Jews, that they want to take over the nation and stuff like that. So you are using the same tactics against Christians.
No, the Christians are using the same tactics against everyone else. What are you?
Yeah, anti-Semites would say, well, defend himself like that.
No. Well, let's not bring up anti-Semitism because we're not being anti-Semitic here or anything like that. So the big difference between what the Nazis did in Germany in the 1930s versus what we're claiming here tonight with the Christian nationalism is that in the 1930s it was propagandistic for the Nazis to portray the Jews as like wanting to take over Germany and whatnot, where in fact you have whole organizations that are dedicated right now to pushing the Bible through government in the United States at least. Now you're from Mexico, so I don't know about politics in Mexico over there, but as far as here in the United States, it's definitely a thing that's happening.
Yeah, because you want to build up this big enemy phantom that is behind everything that's evil in the world, like they used to do.
I think there might be a little bit of confusion here. I think you might be confused because if we're talking about groups, let's say primarily in the United States, who are building up a villain and using that villain as propaganda to force their belief system on other people and their rules on other people and to make changes in the government according to what they want to happen by tearing down other belief systems and religions and races, and that's Christians. And I know that it's hard to hear that, and I know that it's unfortunate to hear that, but when you hear something like that, when you hear a religion is trying to take over the United States and force their laws and beliefs onto all the people, and you immediately start thinking people are attacking Christianity, doesn't that say something? When you hear that and your brain automatically goes to Christianity, doesn't that say doesn't kind of prove the point that we're trying to make here? There's no religion in which atheism can force their beliefs on people because it is literally the absence of a religion. So if we are talking about groups here that are trying to change morals and the way that the society acts and thinks and is allowed to behave, Christianity is not a free religion. Christianity has an entire pamphlet of rules. They have a whole chapter book of nothing but rules that you're supposed to follow. So I think you might be a little bit confused in terms of who is trying to get a leadership in the United States versus who is trying to combat that leadership and allow things to remain free.
The rules are for believers. They are not to be made laws of the land. And that's
we're all going to hell if we don't follow them, though, right?
What?
What?
I couldn't hear you.
If people don't follow God's rules, though, we go to hell, correct?
Right, believer or not.
Yes, but still we shouldn't make it the law of the land. We're talking about different things. So yeah, Christianity is real, but not Christian nationalism.
Ulrich, I'm glad that you feel that way. I just want to put that out there right now, that I think that it's great that you don't think the Bible should be the law of the land. I would just want to put that out there right now. But second of all, you're just fucking wrong about Christianity and also Christian nationalism. because of the fact that there are people that are looking to push those laws, biblical laws as actual laws. They're looking to legislate the Bible. They're actively doing it. And you see that all throughout our socio-political environment right now. And I'm just kind of curious, Ulrich, what do you think that Jesus says about pluralism in the Bible? Does he say, all religions are welcome, or what does he actually say?
No, he says he's the only way to the Father, but still he's not saying take over the government and shut everything else down. He never says that.
So what does Jesus say about every knee shall what?
That's talking about the future, what will happen. But still, look what you're doing.
Right. That's the future.
You're trying the anti-Semitic tactics.
That will happen.
No, this is not. You're trying
Shame on you for being a Nazi.
No.
Shame on you for trying Nazi tactics on Christians.
No. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Okay, you're muted right now, Ulrich, because you can't stop throwing out the whole Nazi slur thing right now, and that's really a shame, because we could have a very productive conversation on Christian nationalism, how hard it is and everything like that, but or how horrible it is in our society. But you seem to be wanting to try to pivot the conversation in a way that paints us as being the Nazis towards Christians, when we're not saying that Christians need to be rounded up into concentration camps, or that they need to be segregated into society, or they need to be put on trains shipped out to gas chambers or something. Like, that's not what anybody is saying. We're just saying, hey, you can have your religion, you just don't need to legislate it through the government. And that's all anybody is saying right now. I don't know. What are your thoughts there, Cindy, before I unmute him?
Well, and also notice he called in saying Christian nationalism isn't real. That's what he said. He said Christian nationalism does not exist. But when he's talking to us, he's trying to have the argument maybe that we're wrong about Christian nationalism. So which is it? Does it not exist, or are we incorrect about it? Does it not exist, or is it a thing that we're using to weaponize against Christians? You can't have it both ways. You can't say dragons aren't real and then get mad at me for abusing dragons. We need to at least agree that dragons are real in order to have that conversation. So which is it? Does he think that Christian nationalism isn't real, or does he think that what we, atheists call Christian nationalism is actually an incorrect interpretation of what that means? Because he goes on to point out an example from the past of nationalism that happened and that impacted a lot of people, and that negatively impacted religious groups. So which is it? So it is real, right? Like, that's empirical evidence that it exists. It's just odd to me that he would say it's not real, it doesn't exist, and then come in and talk about how it is real, but we're using it wrong, or it is real and we're actually the ones guilty of it. You got to pick one. Just baseline.
Yep. So Ulrich, please pick a fucking lane.
Go.
Did you not stop talking the entire time?
I was silent the entire time, but I'm not allowed to talk. So I repeat myself. Shame on you for using these tactics that were used 100 years ago. It's exactly like the society in the Weimar Republic. That's how you behave.
Shit.
Are you real familiar with how things operated back then? Tell us more about it. You seem real familiar.
So Ulrich, I'm going to give you one last try not to try to pivot this into calling us Nazis when we're not actually doing Nazi shit. In fact, the Christian nationalists are more aligned with Nazism because the Nazis were Christian and they were pushing Christian ideals. There's several different speeches that I could bring up where Hitler actually brought up Christian ideals. Now, it's true that Hitler's Christianity was different than most Christianity that exists now, but to say that neo-Nazis or anything like that are not Christian by nature is just not even true. In fact, in the definition that I read there, Ulrich, it had white supremacy, which is what the Nazis, a primary component of the Nazism, as well as opposing religious pluralism. Both of those things were characteristic of the Nazis. Now, as far as the secular humanists out here in the United States, we're not actually looking to oppose religious pluralism. We're actually supporting it by supporting the First Amendment to the Constitution. And we're definitely not for white supremacy. We're not doing that. So I don't understand why you're trying to paint us as being being the Nazis. But I want you to come back on there, Ulrich, and let's move past the Nazi thing. Let's move past you trying to use an ad hominem to say that we're wrong by calling us Nazis. We're not calling you a Nazi. We're just saying that you're wrong about Christian nationalism and whether or not it's real. So how about we come back on? Why don't you demonstrate to us how the Christians in America right now, the conservative Christians in particular, that are in government are not trying to push Christian nationalism? Could you demonstrate that for us?
Obviously, it's difficult to demonstrate how somebody's not doing something, but where in the Bible is there white supremacy? That's really weird. The Bible is written by mostly brown people.
Well, no. So as far as supremacy goes, in the Bible, in the Old Testament especially, God says that the Israelites are His chosen people. Meaning, and at that point in time, like people groups were seen as races. At that time, they were characterized that way. There's a long history of how the concept of race evolved over time. And at the time when the Old Testament was being written, people groups were considered to be races. So God did have a favored race above all other races. So if you're trying to defend God against some kind of supremacy,
Also, can I just point out, if every argument you're making, Ulrich, would be a fantastic reason to call into neo-Nazi supporting shows and give them your thought process on how they're misinterpreting Christianity, how they're using Christianity as a tag and they're wrong about it, how the Bible doesn't say anything, in your opinion, that supports what they're doing. I think your arguments and your energy would be better supported calling these neo-Nazi propaganda platforms and letting them know that they're abusing your perspective of Christianity and they're misquoting the Bible and they're the ones who are doing things not according to the word of God, in your opinion, and how you should tell them that the Bible was written by people who were not white. I don't know why you're coming to me about it, because I don't believe the Bible. I think the Bible is a bunch of fables and fairy tales. So telling me these things is a little bit useless, but telling the people who are misusing and misinterpreting the beliefs and claiming that they believe the same thing you do when you clearly feel like they don't, I think your time would be much better suited yelling at them about it, not us.
Okay, now I'm yelling. You're always victimizing yourself. You're so great at that. While you're doing attack after attack. Yeah.
What?
You're welcome.
What?
Listen, I gave you honest feedback, Ulrich. Come on, I gave you positive feedback, and here you are just being a hater. I was so nice just then.
I'm not a hater. I'm against saying that a group of people is responsible for everything evil in the history of mankind. That's what you're constantly doing.
Ulrich, maybe we can get on the same page here. You would disagree with the several Christian conservative legislators that are looking to push the 10 Commandments into schools, right? We both agree that's bad.
Yes.
Okay.
So we agree on that.
Well,
yes.
So how would you characterize those conservative Christians that are looking to legislate the Bible into public schools? How would you characterize them?
They're mistaken on some doctrine. People are allowed to have a different opinion. Have you ever thought about that? People are allowed to have a different opinion.
Yes, which is why we don't want Christianity making the rules for everybody. We want open ability to worship however you want, including the lack of worshiping at all. Precisely. Like I said, you're talking to the wrong people. If you call these other people, they actually fit the narrative that you're complaining about. I don't know why you're calling me.
Yeah, I agree, Sydney. I don't know why you're calling Ulrich, but also I feel like we just demonstrated that Christian nationalism does exist, because would you call them Christian nationalists?
It depends what else they want. Yeah, maybe they are, but it's not this powerful group. They're not getting anything done.
No. It doesn't matter if they're a powerful group or not, because that's not the part of the definition of Christian nationalism there, right? It's a political ideology about asserting that the U.S. is a Christian nation and demanding that the government and law reflect specific and often conservative Christian identity, which would include pushing Christian beliefs into the school system, which would be demonstrated by conservative Christians formulating laws, pushing laws into like Texas and everything like that, that legislated Christian beliefs in the form of the Ten Commandments. That fits the bill for Christian nationalism to the T. So regardless of whether or not they are actually like, powerful or have a large group or whatnot, that still doesn't affect the fact that they exist. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, on a very small number. So nothing to be worried about, not to make a show about so people stop being that, supposedly.
Okay.
Wait,
wait
a second.
Okay.
Wait a second. Are you saying we're making a difference? Are you saying we're keeping people from becoming that? Because that's what I just heard. I heard you say that we're wasting our time trying to convince people not to be that. Sounds like we're on the same side, Ulrich.
We're probably not, but yeah, we might agree on something. Of course, we agree on something. How will we disagree on everything there is to be an opinion about?
Ulrich, you've never dated a man. You've never dated a man.
I've never dated a man? No.
No. That's how you don't know how it's
natural.
Possible to disagree on everything. It was a joke, Ulrich. Give me a laugh.
Yeah, I don't do unnatural things, but that'll be another topic.
Okay.
I live in the natural real world.
No. I feel like you don't. You feel no. In face of the proposition that you could date or sleep with a man, you say that you live in the real world, so you don't do things unnaturally. Just shows me that you're a fucking bigot.
Yeah.
No, it's just we have to define what is to sleep with somebody. It's not what you think it is. There is a definition of what sex is, and they are not doing that.
Sorry, I was just trying to make a joke. It was just a bit. I wasn't trying to open Pandora's box. It was just a bit. It was just a joke.
So,
I give up.
Yeah, so we disagree on that. We disagree on reality, like always.
No. We don't. Well, I mean, yes, we do disagree on reality because we live in reality. You fucking don't. But in any case, so Christian nationalism, that's what we call it. That's what you call it in about. Do you agree with us then that Christian nationalism is a real thing and there are Christian nationalists right now in the United States government?
United States government? I don't know. Really, it's a real thing, but I don't think they are governing right now.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Hold on. Sidebar. Sydney, we went over the whole 10 commandments, like very bare minimum kind of thing. 10 commandments in Texas being pushed and everything. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I had a sidebar with my co-host there, and no, we definitely established that there are Christian nationalists in the government right now that are pushing the Bible. So again, could you try to be honest now and correctly identify those conservative Christians that are definitely pushing the Bible through the government?
Look, if you think Trump is a conservative Christian, you're just wrong. Look for the real news, not just your.
Right, I got it. I got you, Ulrich. So you don't necessarily have to be a Christian in order for practice Christianity in the way that you're talking about. You don't have to practice it in order to be a Christian nationalist. No? All you have to do. No, because all you have to do is align with the political ideology that you're asserting that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation, and that you want to push Christian beliefs through the government, through policy, through making laws, and things of that nature. So, it doesn't actually include you believing in the faith or even being of that faith. It's just using that faith in order to impose certain religious ideals on the country.
Yes. And I think we would actually agree that Donald Trump isn't legitimately a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Neither was Hitler. Can you agree on that?
Oh.
No. Hitler was definitely Christian. He was Catholic.
Yeah.
On the paper, he was a Catholic. but what he said is very different. Do you actually watch the stuff, or do you just watch videos like Satan's Guide to the Bible, and that's where you have all the information from? It always seems to me you have very little sources. You just have your sources from other atheists, and that's it.
No. Hold on. Okay, so
There's
no, my sources
Hitler ever said about Christian at all.
Ulrich, no, I'm literate. Both of us, Sydney and I, are literate, and we can just read the Bible. Like Exodus 23 says, "There are no other gods before me." That right there is very much against pluralism. Isaiah 45:5, "No one besides Him," meaning God. And then there's especially John 14:6, "I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through me," establishing that Jesus and God of the Bible is the only kind of religion that should exist. And then Acts 4:12 would be stating that salvation is in no other name. So it's definitely proposing that Christianity be the only religion. Not only that, but Jesus directly says in the Gospels that every knee shall bend to believing in being a Christian and everything like that. So I mean, and on top of all that, you've got several places in the Old Testament where God directly punishes the Israelite people with like death and with being conquered and being forced into, a diaspora because they allowed religious pluralism in their society. So you're just totally fucking wrong on every single point that you've brought up and your entire opposition to the fact that Christian nationalism exists. I don't know. What do you think there, Sydney?
Nope, I think you nailed it. I think, if anything, the only thing we've accomplished today is disproving the fact that Christian nationalism does not exist. I think he came in here with that argument and then for some reason proved that it exists time and time again and that it's not that bad and that not many people believe that, and this is just very confusing. So I think we did great. I'm biased, but I think we're crushing it today.
All right. So Ulrich, any final thoughts here? Because you've obviously been bested in this conversation, and maybe you can call in some other time and talk about how bigoted you are.
He's just going to tell people we didn't let him talk.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything like it. Are you just putting words in my mouth now to make me look bad?
You literally said that. I don't know what you look like.
Oh, what's this about? Like my last words on this show, and that they should be what you want them to be, something bigoted or whatever. I'm not giving you.
Okay, something bigoted or whatever. That's great. Sorry, I just went ahead and I dropped him since he shot his chance and he did not get anywhere with it. Awesome first start here to the night. How'd you like your first call there on the line there, Sydney?
That was certainly an experience that I will remember for at least half an hour after this.
We do have other calls to get to, but we do have a lot of lines open. So if you want to call in and you want to challenge us on Christian nationalism, you've got a couple of, we're not Christian nationalists, but we're very anti-Christian nationalists here. So if you want to call in and try to challenge us on that, would love to hear your take on it. So we do have, let's see, Marlon, who's from the Philippines. Are you ready to take his call?
Let's do it.
All right. Marlon, we have you on the line. What's up there, Marlon? How you doing?
Hello, John. Hello, Sydney. How was your Christmas, guys?
It was great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. It would be awesome if you guys went to the Philippines, for a vacation. It's really beautiful here,
Oh, wonderful. That's awesome.
So I would like to talk about like the morality of Christianity and the teachings of the Bible and how it's useful and beneficial to society and how many people it has helped. What are your thoughts on that, guys? What do you think about that?
So is it oh, go ahead, Sydney.
I was just going to say maybe he can tell us his thoughts on it, and then we can respond to those thoughts. I don't know, whatever you think.
You guys can go first.
Okay, so sorry, I was distracted a bit. You were asking about the morality of Christianity and how the teachings of the Bible is useful and beneficial to society, right? That's what you wanted to talk about?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I mean, I run with this topic a lot on TikTok, and I don't think that Christianity is all that good. I think that it does more harm than good, and historically, it's done vastly more harm than good. And my reason for thinking this is just you could take several different topic areas, like the treatment of women, the treatment of the LGBTQ plus community, treatment of children, like there's just so many different verticals we could get into as far as how it's actually been bad for society just in general. Let's take one area, and that would be like slavery. You know, of course, slavery in the United States was outlawed in 1865, but up until that point, in North America especially, but just all throughout the this side of the world, and even on the other side of the world, slavery had been a thing that had been justified by Christianity. So we're talking about several hundreds of generations of people that have been subjugated by the Bible. People using the Bible in order to enact the Atlantic slave trade, as well as other versions of the slave trade that have existed in history. So just in that one vertical, you have monumental amount of harm that's been added to human history, all because of what the Bible teaches. And the Old Testament, the Torah, Pentateuch, and all that, what it teaches as well. I mean, that forces it even 1,000 years or so more into the past than Christianity exists. So, what are your thoughts there, Sydney?
So I'm going to go even more basic than that. Like, I'm going to go even more just run-of-the-mill basic. So a lot of times when people bring up the morality of Christianity, they like to focus on things like thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, things like that. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. And what I try to remind people is the Bible did not invent that advice. The Bible was not the first text, or Christianity was not the first group to ever say, hey, it's bad news to kill people. If you look back at the Incans and the Mayans, if you look back and far back as in history as we possibly can, it was a bad idea to kill members of your tribe. It just was. This is just not something that Christianity invented. So a lot of people think that you need to be religious and you need to be a Christian in order to have morals. But then the morals that they try to press on us are just decent advice that have existed long before the Bible, long before religion, long before Christianity. So I would say that when people cherry pick the morals that they think are the best morals that are presented by the Bible, it's not even original advice. So therefore, we don't need the Bible in order to have those laws, the few that are beneficial for society. Now, there are a million things I can think of in the Bible that are harmful. And we can, we'll probably explore some of that. And I know you just explored quite a bit in yours, GE, and what you were just saying. But even on just like a basic level, there is, of the few decent piece of advice that I can think of from Christianity and from the Bible, it's not an original idea. And you don't need to be a Christian and you don't need to have the Bible in order to follow even those most basic rules and laws. So I would argue that it's possible to be quite moral and quite a good person without ever having even heard of the Bible or knowing about God or knowing about Christianity or being a Christian.
Okay, that's good. Like with my thoughts, like from my experience, I think that the morality and Christianity and teachings of the Bible can be beneficial to society. Yes, I agree that slavery is wrong. It is immoral. I would be talking from the aspect of experience, because I've been to like a Sunday service and a Bible study at the Bible Baptist Church here where I'm from, and the pastor brings in like homeless people to like teach them about Jesus and like the Bible, and yes, he also has connections. He can get them jobs by getting to know them and learning about their skills. That the pastor that I know here is she brings in like homeless children to set up to pay for their school, their education, help the homeless families, like feed them and clothe them and that stuff. Give them a shot at a better future, a ticket to a better
Marlon,
life, and that's where I'm going with this. Like
right?
Jesus
I
says,
get
love thy neighbor,
Yeah.
love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
Marlon.
Yes.
Marlon, I don't know if you're like really up on your mic or whatnot, but you're clipping pretty bad on our end. So I don't know if there's any way that you could back off the mic a little bit there. But
I can use my headphones. Just give me a second, guys.
Okay. I want to make sure that he can still hear us, before I start talking again.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me better?
It's still clipping a little bit, but we'll see if we can manage with it. So Marlon, I'm hearing you. I understand what you're saying here in this, and that you find that Christianity promotes those very positive aspects of it. And I'm going to let Sydney mostly take over here with her thoughts, but
it's like Christianity can help people get jobs.
No, I understand. Hold on, Marlon. I understand that. Okay, yes. I understand. I think that those things are more secular in nature, and that those people would still have that drive to help those people out, just because that's the kind of people that they are. I don't think that anything about Christianity instilled that into them. I think that it was something more secular humanist in nature that was appealed to their just very person, like their very being. And so that's what I think. But I don't know. Sydney, what are your opinions? Also, could you not burp into our ears?
Me?
No, him. He's burping like
right
into the
microphone.
Sorry.
So here's the thing. I see what you're saying about helping the homeless, helping people get jobs, but it leans toward the point I was making earlier. None of that is unique to Christianity. The last 3 jobs I've gotten were on LinkedIn. Nothing had to do with God. Nothing had to do with the Bible. Having connections in an industry is how I got one of my best jobs that I've ever had. Had nothing to do with God, had nothing to do with the Bible. In fact, the person I was connected with who got me a job in that industry was also a fellow atheist who I knew through the atheist community. There are places where homeless people can go to get clothes, to get food, that aren't religious based. So while I do understand that you have examples of churches and religious institutions that have helped the homeless and done things like that, cleaned the streets, helped people get jobs, nothing you've described is unique to Christianity. It's an example of somebody doing something for their community, but I do not understand how that is only something that Christianity provides, because it's not. Now, if we can agree that there's an issue with the homelessness that we need to make sure that they're taken care of, we can agree that it's bad to commit certain crimes, like I mentioned earlier. But at the end of the day, all of those opportunities would still exist without the need of the Bible being involved, or without needing to be a Christian in order to do those things, right? So I love to volunteer. My husband loves to volunteer. We love to take care of our community. We are not Christians. So what you're describing is somebody who just happens to be a Christian and also helps people. Now, if you say, well, also good deeds get you into heaven, I would argue that if you're only doing good deeds in order to get to heaven, that's actually not a legitimate reason to do good deeds. If I'm doing good deeds and I'm an atheist and I don't believe in heaven, I think it's pretty realistic to say that I'm doing it because I want to help my community, because I don't think I'm getting a reward in any afterlife. If somebody is only doing good deeds and only feeding the homeless and only clothing them and only offering them shelter because they think there is a place in heaven for them after doing those things, I would almost argue that they're doing those in bad faith, for lack of a better term.
Sorry, I muted him because you got a lot of weird sounds coming through, and I'm just not sure what's happening. And what do you got to say, Marlon? What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I'm gonna say, yeah, you guys did mention like the secular humanist, but according from my research and my experience of what I'm seeing right now with the number of homeless people in like New York, for example, there are a lot of homeless people, and it seems like you guys, the secular humanists, are not succeeding at this task. You know, there are too many homeless people out there. I'm going to give the analogy that
hold on, Marlon,
when someone
Marlon,
you guys give them food.
Sorry, I had to mute you there, Marlon.
I think there's a false equivalency being made here. He's saying, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, he's saying, look at the cities that are not Christian cities. He talked about New York. You know, we can add Chicago in there. We can add maybe LA, San Francisco in there. And he's like, look at how many homeless people are just running around rampant in these larger cities that also are known to like not necessarily be Christian cities or follow Christ. I would argue that's literally just statistical numbers because they are also the largest cities. I live in a purple state where there are just as many Republicans as Democrats, and we have an entirely out of control homeless population here. And I don't mean out of control as in the people are out of control. I just mean something needs to be done about it. So what he's trying to say is look at these non-Christian, non-Christ-centered cities and how many homeless people there are there. But what he's saying is that's just numbers. For every percent of people, there will be a percent of homeless people. And those people just happen to gather in the largest cities because of the statistical odds that they would be there. So nothing he's saying is unique to Christianity. I'm sure there's homeless people in Dallas and Austin and places that are known to have a higher percentage. I used to live in Nashville. There was so many homeless people in Nashville that it doesn't mean that the cities that aren't centered on God versus the cities that are centered on God are going to have less homeless people. It just means that maybe the people doing the feeding of the homeless in these Christian cities happen to be churches and happen to be Christians. I don't know.
Well, so for me, it seems like if Marlon, if you're trying to saddle the secular humanist organizations with not reducing the number of homeless people, which I don't know what kind of organizations are working in New York in order to reduce homelessness, and I think that you would need to incorporate that in there, but there are definitely churches, many churches over there in New York City. And if there is a homeless problem over there, then it seems to me like the churches are failing, not secular humanist organizations. So maybe you should be blaming the churches for not doing, what they can to eliminate homelessness. I don't know what. Sorry, I had to mute you there again, Marlon. What are your thoughts?
Yes, we can agree on that aspect that possibly that the churches over there are failing as well. I gave this example in my 10 Commandments called that. Yes, like my pastor had this idea that yes, he would pay homeless people to put up the 10 Commandments, like in every area that he can get permission to, and they would be paid. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty. They would be Christian. They would be baptized. They would be welcomed into the family. They would have a good life. Basically, Marlon, the Christian life is their ticket to a good life.
Jesus Christ. Whenever I go to try to talk, Marlon, you just get louder and louder until I guess you're trying to drown me out. So I just want to clarify something. Are you saying that are you trying to say that the homeless people are being forced to be baptized and become a Catholic, or are you saying that only the Catholic churches only help the Catholic homeless people? I'm just trying to clarify here.
I think he was saying that
John,
they'll give them jobs to do.
Both of the points that you made are good, and that the homeless should be get indoctrinated into the Christian religion and have a good life because they are his last hope. Jesus is their last hope. Christianity is their last hope. Capitalism is harsh. The outside world is harsh.
You're right.
Christianity will give them love.
Christianity's not their last hope.
I would also just like to point out the interesting use of the word indoctrination, because the definition of indoctrination is the process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically.
Right. And I feel like paying homeless people to like do their proselytizing for them is a little shifty, like shady or whatever, slimy, scummy, whatever. Like, I don't know. That doesn't feel right to me. But Marlon, your audio is not really
$10 to hang up the 10 Commandments. You can just give them $10.
Exactly. Like you don't have to have stipulations where you're forcing them to proselytize for you. But Marlon, your audio is not really getting all that better and everything. So I think that we've been on for about 16 minutes or so. But we're probably going to move on. I'll let you have the final say here right at the end, but we are going to have to move on. Okay there, bud. But
I just wish the best for you guys, and I hope that Christians and atheists can get along. I love you guys. I love you. Thank you.
All right. See you, Marlon. I hope you have a great night. He went ahead and hung up, which is fine. But I do want to say that I've been drinking out of my heathen mug. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but we do have our mug. What is it, Mugmas or something like that?
Mug
it's like our mug thing, Mug Brawl, where everybody's got their own thing. I know, Lux. I think you said that you had like a little image that you could a screenshot for the Mug Brawl that you could put up for people. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So. Go on over to, I believe it's linemerch.com. Is that right? Yes, linemerch.com, and you can get your own mug. I'm enjoying my heathen mug. These are great. Like these are awesome. They're awesome made, and we've already put them through the washer at least once, the dishwasher. So they're dishwash safe. I wouldn't expect the quality to go down or anything like that. But there's that. Before we get to more callers, I did want to go over this coming week's stuff. So tomorrow on Sunday, we've got our normal 2 shows. We got Matt and Eve on at 1 p.m. And then we've got Forrest and Paul on for the After Dark show. Skeptalk is a little bit up in the air. We don't know who's going to be hosting on that one, but it will be one of y'all's favorites, I'm sure. And then Chewed Gum, we've got Alyssa and Taylor again on Tuesday. And then we've got Matt on the Hang Up on Wednesday. And then it's the new year. So we got a lot of great shows coming up and everything like that. And we still have about half of our lines that are not full up. So if you want to ask us questions, feel free to call in 720-619-2288 or the web link if you're outside of North America. So if you want to call in and ask us any kind of questions or anything like that, I do want to change it up a little bit here. There are theists in the queue, but we're going to go to Sophia in Texas, who's looking for some advice on religious family, right-wing family, and wants to be able to have conversations with them. And Sydney is going to be the best person to ask this. So go ahead, Sophia.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi. This is really wild because I've been watching this channel for like 2 years now, and I just never thought to, I don't know, call in.
Yay! So, excited to have you.
Sorry, I don't know if there's a Billy on this thing. I'm just trying not to cut y'all off.
No, you're fine. So yeah, if you're looking for advice, so we'll just let you start out.
Okay, so I have, a sister in Texas, and a lot of my Texas family, my aunt and uncle who raised, I'm not going to get into details, but raised my brothers and I since like 2014. And they are very right-wing or very religious and everything and stuff. And my brother's kind of, one is now, I don't know what he is. He's not religious, but he's also not atheist or something. And then the other one is Christian. But all that to say that we were having a discussion Christmas Day, of course, because the holidays. And I'm trying to figure out, because there were so many points being brought up and so many points made. I'm like, that there's so much to that. So I wrote down some questions, if y'all could, and then whenever y'all need to, because I know you said you got TACIS on the line and stuff. But yeah, I just wrote down some questions, and I was wanting y'all's input on those if y'all could just.
Yeah. Yeah, hit us with it.
Awesome. Okay, so of course, like, and I've seen videos where people have kind of dealt with these, but I've seen so many, I'm like, I don't know where to go to. So I'm like, well, we're not actually talking to people. So there's one, does free will actually exist? According to like the Scott thing, because I was discussing with the younger one who's religious, that I was like, so why did he, this kind of ties into another one, why did he create us if he already knew what we were going to do? He already knew we were going to hell. I know you've probably heard this a million times, but I'm like, and he's like, well, free will. And I'm like, but that I didn't ask to be, I'll leave it at that.
So, sorry, I don't mean to, GE. Were you gonna? I didn't mean to.
No.
Assume I could go. Okay. So, I try to, when I'm talking to family, I try to first hit on the things we agree on, right? So hopefully they agree that children should not starve. Hopefully they agree that something should be done to help the homeless. Hopefully they agree. Hopefully there's several things, and maybe you can harp more with them on local things that would matter more to them and that would impact them more directly. Because unfortunately, with especially heavily theist families, they don't really seem to care about anything until it impacts them directly, and then suddenly it's, mayhem. So if you can first start by being like, here's all the things we agree on. Now that we established that we agree on all of these things, do you mind if I ask you some questions? And that is a great first question. Why is God good? And why is it considered free will if he supposedly is omnipotent and omniscient at the same time, and he gives us the free will to screw up in ways that he already knows we're going to screw up, and then also get punished for screwing up? That's not free will. And they'll get defensive, but that's literally not the definition of free will, right? Can we agree on that? Look up the definition of free will. That is not what you're describing here. What you're describing is a game, right? Is somebody saying, I'm going to see if you can get past my rules or my games. And I always try to spin it, especially when it's male relatives. I always try to spin it towards, if I told you a man was treating me this way, how would you respond to that? If I told you that a man was constantly putting me through relationship tests that I was set up to fail, and he was constantly saying, do what you want, but then giving me the silent treatment, ghosting me, punishing me in some way other than physical abuse for not doing what he wanted, even though he already said I could do whatever I want, how would you respond? And they usually say, I would tell you to get out of that relationship. Why? Because it's abusive. Aw, but he's giving me free will, right? It's not free will if there is punishment for not choosing the rule that you're told you're supposed to choose. That's just manipulation. And we're not even framing that with religion. We're just talking about the baseline acceptance of that being true. If someone is telling you you can do whatever you want, that is such a trigger point for me with men especially. And I'm only saying that because I date men. I don't date women. This isn't like an anti-man thing. When they say do whatever you want, you always know that that's not actually instruction to do whatever you want. That's instruction to see if you're going to do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't, there's consequences, whether it's silence, whether it's whatever.
If you don't do it, this will happen, you will be punished. But if you do it, but you do it wrong, there's so many ways that I have a problem with that. And so, limited time, Ollie, I swear. Sorry, I'm dog sitting. I'm going to another room. Y'all for no.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm so sorry. I'm dog sitting, and it's bedtime. Okay.
You're good.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, no, that helps a lot in the starting point. And again, y'all can tell me whenever you're like, okay, you gotta go. We got an yes, we need.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, awesome. So this is something that they brought up. One of them was reading this book that I'm high eyebrows to, side eye. It was, what was it? What's it called? The ethnic cleansing of the Western or Europe or something. And that's where it all started. And I asked him about it, and he was making points about like the white population going down, like, and how it's a bad thing. Like, who cares? As long as it's not like killing or an actual, like, an actual thing like World War II or, the stuff. And so that was very confusing. But then it went on to, they think Christianity is kind of better than other religions because he brought up like the Sharia law, and he's like, we have people coming in from other countries that, this by their culture and stuff is fine, but they come here and then it, affects, and so it's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I mean, there's that, but equally just the same. I'm not saying that Christianity is worse than that one, maybe it is, but I'm like, they both, it's like, it doesn't make Christianity good just because the other one has something bad. I think they're both like bad. And I'm using very simple terms, just if that makes any sense.
Well, I think that kind of presents sort of a false dichotomy in that it's like, well, there's Islam that does all these horrible things, and then there's Christianity, which is not as horrible as that. So which one would you pick? It's like, okay, well, there's a third option, and that's fucking neither of them, right?
Yeah.
So like that's a false dichotomy there. There's no need to present that. But also, I mean, I don't know. I personally would push back. It's like, okay, I get that you see Islam that way, but what makes Christianity better? Is it just because Christianity in its evolution has just moved past that particular point in its theology? I mean, Christianity is still plagued with that kind of stuff. I mean, if you think about it, the conservative Christians in America are pretty much, at least an overwhelming majority of them, are the only ones that are preserving child marriage laws. Like in several states right now, you can actually marry a child, and the conservatives are the ones that have fought to keep that. And so it's like, if you're trying to make Islam look better, it's only looking better in that you're a Christian, and so you prefer it that way. Like it seems to be sort of like a bullseye fallacy almost.
Yeah, I would go even simpler.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go ahead.
I'm always too complex. I'm sorry.
Well, see, I would go even simpler, right? So the first thing that stood out to me was, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of your male relatives was talking about how white people are essentially going away, right? And how that's bad.
He talked about he was like, well, in this time it was 90% white, and now it's 60. I'm like, and how is this a bad thing? Like, I'm like, that doesn't mean that they're disappearing. And I really wanted to bring up, but there's so many conversations, so I was kind of surrounded. But I was like, well, one, people maybe aren't having as much children, which is a good thing, maybe. And then also, I'm like, more people are coming in, so yeah, maybe they're not the majority anymore. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're just like disappearing or whatever.
Well, I would highlight for him, one, white people have never been the majority on Earth. It's just never been a thing. People forget that America is not Earth.
Oh yeah.
So that's, there have always been.
No. He wasn't saying that. I think he was talking about like in America, and then he talked about places that were typically, he was like, what would you associate London with? Like if I said London man, what would you typically think? And I told him, honestly, it could be kind of anyone, because it wouldn't be really race to me, at least in today's terms, because I'm like, a lot of different you know, races and, you know, stuff live there. So I'm like, I don't think, and then he's like, well, what if I said Japanese? I'm like, it's just, I feel, I'm like,
Well, here's, I would ask him, I'd be like, okay, let's just say white people are at the mercy of disappearing, like the orangutan, right? Or like the zebras. What happens if white people disappear? Literally, what physically changes? What happens? What collapses? What societal structure absolutely collapses if we start dating and marrying interracially? And the reason I say that is because nothing, literally nothing. One, it's just, it's not something he has to worry about in his lifetime. It's just not. Two, tell him to Google a Habsburg jaw. That's what happens when you try to keep the race line and the family line too pure. You end up with a bunch of fucked up people who can't think straight and they can't chew right because they've been mixing their DNA. Three, he's never gonna beat the marry your relative allegations being in Texas talking about how white people are disappearing right and left, right? So just, he's never going to beat those allegations if he keeps talking like that. But truly, like, one, he will not be alive when this distant dystopian future happens where there are no white people. That's just, he will not live to see that day. So why does he care, right? Because so much of what conservatives care about is what impacts them immediately, unless it's racist, unless it's sexist, unless it's bigoted. Why would I care why in 200 years white people might not exist? Am I worried that my great, 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 great grandkids won't be treated different and better than everyone else because they're white? To me, that sounds like he recognizes that white people have supremacy. And he's worried that at some point in the near future, white people will no longer have supremacy. And that is what we call a white supremacist. And that is something he needs to look within himself. So we're not even going we're not expanding our scope any further. Why does he care that in a time he will not be alive to see, and frankly, the earth will probably cook before it even gets here, white people won't exist? And I'm willing to bet, without even meaning to, he's going to start basically talking about how we won't be racially pure anymore. White people won't be given supremacy anymore. Yada, yada, yada. The only thing wrong with white people not existing is admitting that people who are not white get treated worse than people who are. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so the idea that he's concerned that white people won't exist shows me that he recognizes in his mind, whether or not he words it that way, that non-white people get treated bad. And that's an entirely different conversation.
Yeah. So one tactic that I've seen. Oh, well, I was just going to add in one tactic that I've seen from somebody that I've been watching a lot online. His name's Mezzo over there on TikTok. And what Mezzo likes to do in a conversation is he likes to get the person he's in a conversation with to admit these very uncomfortable things just in a very passive way, so that you can then be like, sort of what Sydney was saying here. It's like, oh, so you think that white people are sort of like better than all the other races, and like casually like slip it in there to where they get to the point where like, yeah, I'm white supremacist, you know, and not so many words, but it's like they're laying out the entire ideology, kind of, I guess, sort of somewhat similar to what we did with Ulrich, except Ulrich wasn't wanting to play along with it. You know, basically just leading him to the conclusion and allowing him to drink from that particular pond. But, I mean, I think that the passive nature of it, getting them to walk into it, might allow them to let their guard down a little bit so that they could actually see that. I don't know. Sorry, Sydney, what were you going to say?
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. The thing with family members is the simpler you can keep it, the more powerful your points will be. For example, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok and on Reddit when people videotape themselves saying, I hope everything you voted for happens to you, and the other person reacts negatively. They go, oh, wow, that's really rude. It's like, oh, It's almost like you recognize that you voted for mean things to happen to people. Weird. Why wouldn't you want everything you voted for? If we can boil it down to, so let me get this straight. You are saying that being white is important. Why is being white important? And they're going to accidentally circle themselves into an argument that basically makes them say because white people are treated better. And if there's no white people, we'll all be treated the same, and that's a bad thing. Oopsie. Yikes. What if I told you we could not treat not white people different? And then by the time there's no more white people left, everyone will be treated nice. If they have an argument for not treating people who aren't white nice, they're only doubling down on the fact that they think there's reasons we shouldn't start treating everybody equally now. It all circles back to they are a white supremacist. Now, if they say they're proud of that, that's an entirely different conversation. But they're not going to say that because even though they believe that with their whole chest, they don't want to say those words because they know it's bad.
I don't believe he is, but also I could, if we go into further discussions, maybe I'll be surprised. I'm like, holy, fill in the blank.
He doesn't believe he is either. That's the thing. He doesn't think he's a white supremacist. So he has to hear himself say it out loud.
The way he said it was like, he was like, well, what would you say if, a black person said the same? Like if, we need to, continue that. I'm like, the same thing. And he said, no, you wouldn't. And I said, no, I would. Because I'm like, as long as it's like not some other race, like trying to eliminate some other race or something like that. I'm like, if people like fall in love or, are having, kids and stuff, it's not your whatever. And if there's just some natural, goes down, I'm like, so are you going to go for every gender? Like, are you like, trying to, because I'm like, you can't. So I asked him pretty bluntly, not rudely, but bluntly. I was like, so what is your solution? I put finger quotes. What is your solution to this? So are you saying that you would tell people, no, you can't marry outside of your race, or no, you need to marry this? That's getting on very. I think he could tell where I was going, but I was like, you know what this is sounding like, right? So
yeah, yep, yes.
Knowing me and how much of an asshole I am in these kind of conversations, I would have phrased it a little bit differently. I would have been like, so what's your final solution for this?
But it would go so far over people's heads, unfortunately.
Pretty close. I was like, so what is your solution? So what are you saying? Are you telling people, no, you can't get married because y'all are different races and we're trying to keep the white race? I'm like, oh God, I have nobody clip this. Keep the white race alive.
Well, and here's the thing.
I'm like, no, it's not. No.
Well, and here's the thing. Even simpler than that. He says, what would you tell a black person who said that same thing? And you said, I would say the same thing to them. And he goes, no, you wouldn't. I would have stopped the conversation right there and been like, sorry, are you just going to tell me what I think, or do you actually care? And then when I want to hear what you think.
Sorry, tell me what I'm thinking. And I forgot how it went by, but he was like, no, but he's like, I don't believe, like, whatever. And I'm like, if you're not going to believe me, but then it carried on because to be honest, then the younger one, the Christian, made another point, and at some point I was like, okay, guys, I need 1 second. I was like, y'all two talking, and then two other relatives like popping in here and there. And he did say, he's like, I kind of feel like we kind of bombarded you, and I was like, a tiny bit maybe. But I was like, so I kind of was doing that, and but I was like, maybe there's like some better way and stuff. And I think next time, not in a rude way, but walk him through it and then be blunt. So what are you saying? Because I'm like,
something,
because it's like,
when
I
in
know
doubt,
you know what you think, or I think you know what I'm thinking that you're thinking, or whatever.
So when in doubt, and I think everybody here can attest. Like you've been to my debate class. Like when in doubt, just start repeating back to people what they say, because they won't like the way that it sounds, and they'll change what they say. So for example, he says, just for example, well, did you hear white people are disappearing? Eventually there's not going to be any more white people anymore. Everybody's going to be mixed race and white people won't exist. And you're like, okay, so I heard you say that it's important to you that white people exist because you think white people should exist. And he'll either say, well, no, I'm saying, he'll either change what he said or he'll agree. He'll be like, yeah, that's what I said. I said that white people should exist. And then you ask another question. You say, okay, why is it important specifically that white people should exist? And when he gives you his answer, repeat that answer verbatim. Be like, so you're telling me that it's important to you that white people exist for this reason. He'll hear the racism of it all, and he'll go, no, what I meant to say was, and if you just keep repeating back to people exactly what they said, especially if you add, correct me if I'm wrong, they will correct you, but they'll change what it is they're saying because they don't like the way it sounds coming out of your mouth because they know it sounds racist. And then once you've done this for about 10 minutes, because one, it gives them the inability to say you didn't let them speak. Two, you gave them the opportunity to correct what you were hearing them say, and they got the chance to clarify. Three, it shows you were listening. It shows that you weren't just actively trying to come up with an answer to something they hadn't said yet, but also it makes them sit with what they said, hearing it come out of your mouth. And that alone is enough to disarm so many of these conversations.
Yeah. I'm a little bit happy with how I handled it and stuff. It was
it sounds like you handled it awesome.
To continue this, no, but I'm happy with how I did it. But I do want to, on some of the points you start with like things that you agree on and whatnot, because we used to, until recently, we used to just automatically be assuming, and then it was like this conversation is an absolute mess and stuff. And he's saying, so you're saying this? I'm like, I'm not saying that, but this. And then he's like, so you're saying that? And I'm like, I'm saying, and it was just chaos, and we didn't really get anywhere. So this was,
also, they want to get you heated and flustered. So when they say, oh, so this is what you're saying, and it's clearly not, I literally just go, come on, dude. I'm just like, come on, dude. Are you actually gonna say what I said, or are you just gonna make shit up? Because then they'll be like, okay. You know, they know when they're spewing bullshit. They know when they're misquoting you. So I don't even bother trying to correct them because I know they heard me the first time. I don't even bother trying to defend myself, because if I spent all this time answering their questions and they go, so you said this thing that you clearly didn't say, I just look at them and I go, oh, this is gonna be one of these? Gross. Ew, I was hoping we'd have a regular conversation, not one of these. Gross. And then they either laugh and they let you talk, or they go, oh, no, sorry. Like, I wasn't to do exactly what they did, you know?
Yeah. He kind of had me surprised when he was like acknowledging that it was kind of like all these people all at me, and I'm like the one atheist and stuff. And then he likes to point out, he's like, see, now you're raising your eyebrows or making that face and stuff. And it's like,
oh,
sometimes by some of the things you say, it's kind of hard not to make a face, but I'm trying to listen. And so I was like, okay, like try to hand face it or whatever. So,
so now you're making that face?
Point.
Yes.
I should look back. So you're making that face? Are you saying that again?
Yeah, do you see your face? Yeah, exactly.
If y'all don't mind if I ask like one last question, and then I'll get off here so the CS can join in, if y'all don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, fun. Do it.
Okay, cool. So you've heard this one, I'm sure, a million times, even though still trying to, and he also said points that I've heard before, but I said the Bible and slavery, I was like owning people. I said, and I probably told him, the younger one, the Christian, I said, I don't agree with slavery of any kind and such. And he said, he's like, the Bible never did the slavery. And I talked about, I think it was the Amalekites, or when God ordered to kill and stuff. And he was like, every woman, child and stuff. And then I got into the slavery, and he was like, he was like, because they were doing this sin against God or evil, I'm like, so the children are. And then I got into the slavery. We were kind of back and forth. It was a little bit chaos. But he said pretty much the Bible slavery was, I guess, a type of employment. Like he was like, well, they were given, place to live, and they worked for what they, the place that they had and the things that they were getting, similar to us. I'm like,
that is indentured servitude, and that's not slavery. You got to tell them the difference between indentured servitude and slavery. Everybody says, oh, well, in the Bible, they paid slaves. Well, then that wasn't a slave that you're describing. You're describing an indentured servant. If you're going to stand there with your full chest and say slavery is not bad, give me an example that is not something other than slavery. If you're going to stand there and say, I think you should pay slaves, that's not slavery. That's indentured servitude. That's minimum wage. So I would literally just call that out immediately. The moment they start saying that the slaves were paid, it's not a slave. It's just by definition, not even biblically, by definition. So they're either going to 10 toes down support slavery and give you an example of actual slaves that they agree deserve to be slaves, or they don't know what slavery is and they need to be careful and make sure they're not standing 10 toes down on something they don't understand.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I told him. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Sophia.
I was just going to say when, they say, take the women, kill the men, but take the women and you can have them as your wife or whatever it was. I'm like, how is that? How can you justify that? And I think he said, he was like, he said that's not in the Bible or something. And I was like, what?
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So a couple of choice verses. I don't know if you're interested in knowing the verses to bring up for them to do I guess a quick Bible study for the type of slavery you're talking about there, sexual slavery. Numbers 31, 17 to 18 is very explicitly sexual slavery because scholars of the Roman period will oftentimes define sexual slavery as any kind of forced ownership of another person's sexual activity or sexual autonomy. And in Numbers 31, it's definitely taking small pubescent and post-pubescent girls as sexual slaves. And God reinforces this later on in Numbers 31. I think it's verse 27 or something like that, where he talks about divvying up even the people. So that would be the small girls that they took, right? And so that would be the choice verse for sexual slavery in that particular instance. There's a lot of other different verses. There's one verse, I believe it's in Deuteronomy, where it talks about a father selling his daughter into marriage, right? Which is another form of sexual slavery. There's definitely that. And then Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, that is one where it's very explicitly. Leviticus 25, 44 through 46. And that one is something. Yeah. Oh, good. Those are ones that you just can't get past, because in the Leviticus chapter, it's specifically about chattel slavery, because it talks about how you can pass these people down as inheritance, as property to others in your family and everything. So it's very specific about it being, chattel slavery in that respect. And in that respect, it is the same as the antebellum South slavery, in that you are owning another person, you are deriving benefit from their labor, and they are not directly benefiting from their own labor. In that case, they're owned as property.
And so they agreed to it.
Right. And so those would be the two passages I would suggest bringing up, because those are very difficult to wrestle with and difficult to say, oh, well, they were actually paid. It's like, really? I don't remember people paying their property to do, I don't pay my car to be my car or something like that. And so, there's different ways that you could come at it. What do you think there, Sydney?
Yeah, I would just say, in the event that you're blindsided by these conversations or that you feel ganged up on, the best thing to do is to get them to admit what they mean, because either they don't know what they mean, like the slavery thing, and they're completely ignorant to what that actually means, but they're walking around saying that slavery wasn't that bad or slavery is biblical, or they're going to hear exactly what they mean and they're not going to like it, and then they're going to change what they mean. And none of those reflect negatively on you. What they want to do is they want to fluster you. They want to stress you out. They want to make you the atheist who just can't let them talk or just won't let them blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I heard you. And what you said was, you think white supremacy is important and you think slavery is not that bad. And that alone, just boiling it down as simply as possible, they're not going to like that you said that, and they're going to get really upset. But the more often you do that, the less they'll bother you with their bullshit.
Yeah. And it's like, I do want to have these conversations. I do love them, but I'm just like, you're saying some crazy stuff, and
Yep.
They say crazy stuff, but I'm like, but y'all are my brothers and stuff, and we've been through some stuff, and I know I keep saying some stuff, and also it's the things that they say, and also usually when they bring something up, then I'm like, okay, we're going to go here.
Yes.
But because I know if I say, oh, I'm not going to talk about this, then I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, you always say that. Because you're always a boss
Yes.
half the time.
Yes. And if the only time they feel comfortable talking to you is when they can gang up on you, point that out. Be like, y'all always want to talk 4-to-1. What's so scary about me? There's got to be 4 of you. Why can't you do 1-to-1? Are you worried you'll lose? Are you worried you can't handle it? Like, this is the 5th time we've talked about this, and it's always been me by myself with the 4 of you or the 3 of you or whatever. How about you come at me 1-on-1 and we can see how much your arguments hold up, right? Like, why are you so scared? I'm not scared. Well, you keep bringing back up, so I just assumed you were scared.
Yeah, sorry. I think Sophia accidentally dropped herself. I think she accidentally... Oh, wait, she's calling back in. Hold on. I believe this is her. What about host? Yeah, let me see. Let me bring her back in. Sophia, are you back in?
Yeah, I was accidentally stupid. I pressed my earbud and didn't realize they would hang up the whole call.
No, that's fine. Yeah, we were gonna move on here in just a second.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that you got the advice that you were looking for out of our conversation tonight.
I did, and I'd love to call in the future. I have so many questions, but those are just the one off the top of my head, just from the other day and stuff. So y'all answered a lot, and I'll be sure to use this stuff. So thank y'all a lot.
So I actually had a conversation with GE recently on talking on conversational debate relatives. So if you're interested in like hearing more about that, we did a whole conversation not long ago on GE's channel.
Yes, and it was.
What was the name of the video?
It's Godless Engineer. It's Godless Engineer, and that's the channel that you can find it on. And if you go there and you just search in the videos for Sidney Davis Jr., you'll be able to find it. It was a recent live stream that I did, so you should be able to see it in there. It's got both of us on the thumbnail.
I'm subscribed to you, so I'll just look at it. I know I'm subscribed to you. At least I'm like pretty sure. I watched some of your videos.
Okay. Oh, awesome! That's great to hear.
But yeah, thank you so much.
And yeah, no problem. And definitely, as you think about, questions that you want to ask hosts here on the line, write them down somewhere where you can access them. Mm-hmm. And then, whenever you call back in, you've got kind of a list that you can go down, because we're always very eager to answer people's questions and be helpful in that kind of way. It's just that normally we have to prioritize, theists on the shows, but we still definitely try to address anybody with questions like yours. Okay.
No, yeah, I understand 100%. I've been listening, so I'm like, whenever y'all need to go, just let me know.
Yeah.
Good luck.
You're fine. Yeah. Good luck with that conversation.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. See you later, Sophia.
See ya, y'all.
Oh, shit. Sorry. There was a little bit of a delay on that. I didn't mean to drop you in the middle saying goodbye there, Sophia. So sorry about that. So let's see, just a recap here. The Heathen mug is available at Line Merch. I know that people have been saying that they've been buying other people's mugs, but definitely buy the Heathen mug. That would really make me happy. But also, we will be addressing any of the super chats that we get. So if you want to send in a question, if you have a question that you thought of while we're having conversations tonight, definitely send in a super chat. We will be addressing those after we get done with calls tonight. So definitely call or send in those super chats so that we can address those questions. Next up, we have somebody special calling in. We've got Andrew calling in from New Jersey. Andrew's calling in, and I'm so sorry, but I'm having to immediately mute you there, Andrew. Lex, wasn't there something you wanted to say?
Hey, what's up, Andrew? It's Alexander. I'm producing. I'm God today. On behalf of myself and everyone here at the line, you are a disgusting person. The rape apologetics and the fact that you're calling in today to defend Christian nationalism, you're a terrible person and you suck, and we largely regret talking to you, and you're banned. So goodbye forever.
Bye-bye, Andrew. And we're immediately dropping your call so that you can't say anything in return. For people that don't know the backstory of this, go and watch the very last call on this past, was it this past Monday? Yeah, it was this past Monday's Skeptalk. That's the reason why Andrew, we made him wait an hour, and then we brought him up, didn't allow him to talk, and now he's banned forever. So there you go.
That's hilarious. But actually, we're actually not letting him talk because we can't handle the truth. See, if only we could handle the truth, we would let the man speak. We're silencing him.
Yes, obviously. Now, there is a new poll in the chat right now for Is Christian Nationalism Real? Spurred on by Ulrich, our first caller tonight. There's 5% of y'all that are saying no, that it's not real. So we would really love if y'all would call in and try to defend your Christian nationalist sensibilities. We do have somebody that is defending Christian nationalism coming up next, but with 5% of people of the 250 votes that are out there right now, y'all should really be calling in droves to defend your Christian nationalist faith there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Daniel next in the chat. Daniel, you're on the line. How you doing there, Daniel?
What? Can y'all hear me all right? I don't...
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, there must be a delay.
There is a little bit of a delay. So it says that you wanted to defend Christian nationalism. We can let you start if you want with your defense.
Okay, so really I was calling because Ulrich was talking about how there's no such thing as Christian nationalism. And I mean, I'm sitting here and I think I'm real, and I'm definitely a Christian nationalist. And I guess Andrew is too, though you won't find me making an apologetic for rape. So
I don't know. We'll see about that. But Daniel, you want to defend Christian nationalism. So, I mean, why do you think that Christian nationalism is the best for America? Maybe a more direct question will get us started.
Sure. So, well, for one, I don't think that it's some big conspiracy theory that Islam is invading the West, and I mean that. Now, Christianity's already been here, so how? Mass immigration. I mean, look at Michigan, look at England, specifically London. Look at...
All right. Well, we're not talking about London or England. We're talking about the United States, and considering that, one of the few Muslim congresswomen that are actually elected to office right now, Donald Trump has called for her to be expelled from Congress just for being one Somali, two Muslim. So how do you feel about that?
About Ilhan Omar, don't much care for her.
No, not about Ilhan, not about Ilhan, about Donald Trump calling for her expulsion from Congress.
I'm getting there. Yeah, no, I mean, probably. she was not an American. She immigrated here. I assume that, you might want to have a little bit more allegiance to this country before you run for.
How is
No, fuck America.
How is choosing America making you less dedicated to America? How is choosing America and then serving America not the most American thing you can possibly do in America? I'm confused by this.
I mean, we can pretend like those people didn't come here because they were just fleeing civil war and all that stuff. And I mean, after everything that has been said about Somalia here, or is it Somalia? Yeah, in the news.
You should probably know that before you
stuff.
go online talking this shit, man. I'm just being honest with you. You should probably know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to decipher between Ethiopia and Somalia. Anyway, all I'm saying is this: they were fleeing civil war, they were fleeing civil unrest, and all that, and then they come here, and they should be a little more grateful to the country for the opportunities that they were given, than to be on national TV or on
serving the
TikTok
country, sir.
How is she not grateful?
She's serving this nation.
Her and like her, who are Somali, who are here, who came here fleeing everything that they fled, who do not,
Okay.
So
since we're on Ilhan Omar, right? Do you think that Ilhan Omar is a U.S. citizen?
At this point, yes. I'm just saying, originally she came here as an immigrant or as a.
I really don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Originally, that doesn't matter at all to me. It matters to me if she's a U.S. citizen, because I believe you got to be a U.S. citizen in order to serve in Congress. And I'm looking at information right here.
Elected.
Right, you got to be elected. Which, by the way, I want you to know there, Daniel, that the founders actually had extensive discussions on this when crafting the Constitution about the possibility of a Muslim being elected to office, and they there were obviously two sides that had disagreeing opinions on it, and which side won out? The side that didn't require any kind of religious tests.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't fucking matter if she's Muslim or not.
Well, whenever their values are so different from American values.
How?
Sir, you didn't even know where she was from for a moment there. How can you be so sure what her values are when she is serving this country in an elected position that people thought she deserved to have and she has done since 2019? How can you know what her values are when you don't even know where she's from?
But from more than one country. Right. So
how long? I've got just a couple questions for you. How long did you serve in the military?
I'm so sorry. What? No.
Oh, you didn't serve in the military, right?
No.
That's what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. How long did you serve in Congress?
I have not.
So it sounds like. Okay. How long have you held elected office of any kind? You pick.
Don't know what your point is, but I have not.
My point is that she has served this country more than you have, sir. My point is that wherever she's from doesn't matter when she's willing to serve this country and be elected to do so by citizens of this nation more than you have. So how can you say that she's un-American, and can you say that people like her are un-American just because of the religion that you assume them to have when you're not even 100% sure where they're from?
Okay, well, I'm not assuming she's a Muslim. I know she's a Muslim.
That's the only thing you know for sure. That's it.
Did you ask if there's anything I know for sure? Yes.
Well, so you mentioned, as far as knowing for sure, you mentioned that her values are different than American values, which I'm not sure what the American values would be in your particular eyes, but I'm kind of wondering what values are you talking about here? Maybe you can enumerate some that are different than what you're claiming American values are.
Yes. Okay. So as far as what I think American values are, I feel like it's more or less Western cultural values with a hint of individualism. Okay.
Like,
As far as her,
like
Western cultural values. So up until 5 minutes ago, Christianity was a large part of that. If not Christianity, then we can at least say things that have stemmed from Christian cultural, foundation.
Okay.
So
you're still just vaguely mentioning things. As far as Christianity goes, the founding fathers of the Constitution, those that wrote the Constitution, explicitly wrote it to be antithetical to Christianity. So I don't understand what you're fucking talking about when you talk about Christianity being a primary component, like, to America, like, other than
on the whole, a majority Christian country. Whenever at its founding,
no.
Oh,
I'm not saying necessarily the Constitution is explicitly Christian. People make that point. I'm not making it. I'm saying,
okay. So the ad populum argument that you're making for the primary composition of America at its founding has no relevant basis in this particular argument, because what we're talking about is basic civics, in that how our government works, how our government operates, and whether or not somebody like Ilhan Omar can serve or has the best interests of America, I guess, in mind while she's serving, or something like I don't know how you would factor that in, but it kind of seems like that's kind of the area that you want to go in.
Whenever the country was founded, I know that it was discussed about, it may have been John Adams or whoever that talked about he would rather have a Muslim in office than a certain type of Christian or whatever. Fine.
You can't say or whatever if you're quoting information you're using to be bigoted and racist against people.
Sorry.
You have to know the quote. You have to know the quote. You can't say or whatever if you're going to be racist against people. You just can't do that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes,
it is.
It absolutely.
So then you want Melania gone too, right? Because she's an immigrant. You want Melania gone too? You want her to be deported too because she's an immigrant?
She's not a Muslim.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So it sounds like maybe it is racism. Oh, okay, got it.
You can call it xenophobia if you want. You can't call it racism, because if
I will call it xenophobia.
All Muslims are of one race. They're not. So,
so xenophobia. So a phobia is being irrationally afraid of something in this particular respect. You are irrationally afraid of Muslims. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Do we use the word phobia in every sense as an irrational fear? When people call transphobia, do they mean that people are irrationally afraid of trans people? No. They don't.
Yes.
Yes.
You're irrationally prejudiced and afraid of trans persons. So that's what that would be.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, that's literally what that means. Like, you don't like it, but that's literally what that means. I'm just teaching you English.
You can say
oh my God, I'm so stressed.
Phobia. All I'm saying is it's not racism, and it's more racist for you to assume that all Muslims are of one race.
I didn't.
Oh my God!
What?
Nobody. First of all, nobody said that. No. Neither of us said anything about race concerned with being a Muslim. It seemed to go that direction a little bit there with how you're characterizing Muslims in general is kind of where at least I was thinking that you were going there, Daniel. I don't know, Sydney, did you get the same feeling?
I just thought it was very interesting that he said it's not racism, it's xenophobia. So we are dealing with a xenophobic person, which is just an interesting admission.
If you feel the need to label it.
Like, oh, but you feel the need to label Muslims? Do you not? Are we not just swapping labels here? I'm confused. Why is it okay to label some people but not label other people?
I didn't call them a slur. I called them Muslims and said that their values are not compatible with Western cultural.
And I didn't call you a slur. I called you xenophobic. That's not a slur. That's just what you are, my friend. That's what you said.
You're missing the point. I'm not saying that you called me a slur. I'm saying you are inferring that I am calling them slurs, and I'm not.
I never said that. I never said that. I did not say that one time. I said you don't want people in this country because they are races and religions that you don't like. And you said, no, just religions you don't like. And I just thought it was interesting that it's only a problem to be an immigrant in this country if they're a Muslim immigrant and not if they're the wife of the president.
I'm so sorry. You hit it right on the head. I never said a thing about race until you did. And I'm telling you, it is about religion and culture that differs in value from traditionally Christian cultural Western values.
But then, you go, please. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to commandeer this conversation.
Oh, no. You're not commandeering anything. I'm still a little confused as to what Daniel here considers to be Christian values. Like, could you specify what Christian values are in this respect that would be different than the values that you think somebody like Ilhan Omar would hold?
If you don't have necessarily a faith in the Christian religion or in Christ, that you at least have reverence for it as a cultural value. Why
should I give a fuck?
Right.
Why should I give a fuck?
I'm not asking you to give a fuck. What I'm saying is that you ought to, if you're in a culturally Christian place, you go to a Muslim country and you disrespect, what they consider to be God. Or
we're not talking
Allah.
about a Muslim country. No, okay, so first of all, we're not talking about a Muslim country. Right. We're not talking about a Muslim country. We're not talking about a theocracy. Number two, if Christian nationalists did take over, then they would employ the same kind of tactics that the current theocratic Muslim countries would be employing, and that's requiring a belief in God, and specifically the Christian God, or else, you'll get hung on the wall or something like that. So, and that's part of the Bible. Like, God specifically punishes the Israelites for allowing a pluralistic society. So, that would be something that they would stamp out quick. So, I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Pluralism is not a Christian value.
Right. I'm not saying that it is. What I'm saying is that you generally, as far as Christian values go, at least in the West, you would say that most people or that are not Christian should have some sort of reverence for the Christian faith, being that it would be the cultural identity.
No. That's the difference. That's what separates us from the countries you're describing. We are not a theocracy. We are not a Christian nation. The majority of people being Christian is not the same as living in a nation that is founded upon Christianity. If you go to a theocracy where the religion governs the country and you disrespect the religion, you are likely never seen again. You go to prison. In America, the reason we are glad to be Americans is because we are not a theocracy. Therefore, you can disrespect all you want because that's freedom of speech. You can go downtown and say, fuck all them religions that aren't mine. You can name them too. I'm just not going to give people the soundbite. Otherwise, I would act it out. And that's allowed, and you won't get in trouble because this is not a theocratic nation. This is a place where you are free to worship however you want. So whenever you say, oh, you can't come here and disrespect, yes, I can. And you can disrespect me. That is the wonderful thing about not living in a theocracy, is you can talk all the mad shit you want about what I believe, and there's nothing illegal about that. Isn't that wonderful?
I mean, in some sense, you could say that it's fine, but I believe the original question that he asked me was, in a Christian nationalist society, what are the Christian values that would be in a Christian nationalist society? I believe that was the question, and that's what I was referring to.
Yes, and you're advocating for us to become a Christian theocracy, but we're not one.
Not a theocracy, no. A theonomy,
just
perhaps,
so that everybody's Christian.
No, that's not what Christian nationalism is, and nor is it a theocracy. It's not what theonomy is. It's not what Christian nationalism is.
No,
Okay.
Christian nationalism would create a theocratic like government. Like for a theocracy, traditionally you have like the heads of the head of the church being the head of the state as well. But I would suggest that if a Christian nationalist fully took over and created us as a theocratic nation, then they would have to create some kind of generalized Christian theology, like a Christian church, and they would require adherence to that particular version of the theology, because otherwise you're just going to have Christians fighting Christians eventually. You'd have to unite under some kind of like common theological interpretation. But that aside, Daniel, would you say that you believe in free speech?
Sure.
Yeah, so you support the First Amendment to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights?
Sure.
Okay, so then why does it seem like you would prefer us employ some kind of like control over the people's free speech in America?
It may seem that way, but that's not the way that it is. And if you would allow me to explain, I can tell you why.
Yeah, sure. Tell us why it's different than controlling free speech, your requirement to us to revere your rape baby faith.
Sure. So in a Christian nationalist or theonomic, not theocratic society, Christianity, not a specific church, Christianity, and how that plays out, I cannot tell you exactly. It would probably be a council of people from different Christian backgrounds governed in a certain way, okay? All I'm saying is that you would still have your free speech, you would still have your freedom of worship, to the extent that you don't blaspheme God, to the extent that you don't try to undermine the Christian faith. Now, you could say, okay, that's not free speech. I hear that. I hear it.
It's not. It's not free speech.
Liberty.
No. So do you know what the First Amendment says?
Verbatim, no.
Verbatim. Okay, so let's read it verbatim. I like how you support it, but you don't know it. Okay, so let's see. I'm just so that I can get it like specifically. First Amendment.
While we're looking that up, do you mind if I just ask you a question?
You don't also know it verbatim, so
well,
that's just
look,
the point I'm making.
I'm not. I didn't say that.
I wasn't.
Can I ask you a question while we're looking that up?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think that Adam Schiff and Jackie Rosen and Alyssa Slotkin should be deported or should no longer be serving in Congress? How mad are you that they're in Congress right now?
Adam Schiff, I'm not a fan of him. I don't know much about him, and I've never heard of the other couple of people.
So it doesn't bother you then? You're not mad enough then that Jewish people are serving in Congress? You're only mad that Muslim people are serving in Congress?
I mean, Jewish cultural identity is a little more in line with Western cultural identity. They were more assimilated to it over the past, 1,500 years or more. So
it sounds a little bit like it's because they're white. Just throwing that out there. It sounds a little bit like the issue is you don't like brown people who have other religions serving, but as long as they can pass as Christians, that's good enough, right? Or wrong?
Are people of all other religions brown or...
You didn't even know what names I was talking about, because if you actually cared about the religion of the people serving this country, you would know that. But what you care about is whether or not they're Muslim, which, let's not be ignorant, we all know, statistically speaking, if you're Muslim, you're not going to be a Caucasian person. So it sounds like it doesn't actually matter that much to you that they're Christian. It sounds like it actually matters to you that they're not Muslim, which is an entirely different scenario. But I'm sorry, we were talking about the First Amendment.
Right.
If I can, So Daniel, I want to know if you support the First Amendment here and thus the Constitution. First Amendment: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So what we're talking about is or abridging the freedom of speech. Now, what you laid out earlier would be abridging the freedom of speech in your idealized, nomic government is the way that you put it. So, why are you okay with abolishing free speech?
Well, I am not going to say that I'm necessarily okay with abolishing free speech, but I suppose when you put it in that light, it leans toward that. What I'm saying is, in general, in a Christian-dominated culture, at least, you would have less of that. To be in
Less
public
free
and
speech, you say?
I'm sorry, less free speech. I'm saying you would have less speaking out against the culture. Yeah, I mean, you could say
Less
that.
free speech, you say?
So, do you think
So
that
what
do you think that we would try to preserve the Constitution in its current form in a Christian nationalist or?
I'm not letting you ignore the question I asked you. Less free
because it's
speech,
related.
you say? Yes or no? Yes or no, Daniel?
Well, I mean,
I've got
that
all
would
day,
be
Daniel.
considered.
I'm in mountain time. It's
Sure.
early here.
Sure. I mean, I'm mountain time. I'm in central time. It's not that late.
Don't avoid the question. Don't avoid the question, Daniel.
Yeah. So the question, Daniel, is you admit that you're advocating for less free speech.
I mean, in the constitutional, like United States constitutional sense of it, I suppose so.
In the Constitution that he can't even quote. The Constitution that he can't even quote. The Constitution
that neither wants to quote it. He had to look it up, so let's calm down with that, Miss.
Don't tell me what to do. I am a guest on this show, and I live in America, and I will say what I want, Father. Not my dad.
Okay, well.
So Daniel,
you don't know that.
Why? So that's a little gross there. Anyways, Daniel. So as far as the Christian nationalist goes, you want to abolish free speech. You want to control speech. What if me being an atheist right now, I regularly blaspheme God? What would you say would be the punishment? Like, do you think that I should be able to be a U.S. citizen since I blaspheme God? Do you think that I should be able to serve the government more than you do if I blaspheme God?
If you're blaspheming God under a theonomic government, you might not need to worry about your citizenship status.
I might not need to worry? I'm not sure what that means. You might not need to worry about
your citizen and yeah.
Like you think that I shouldn't be a citizen?
Blasphemy laws, yes. And I don't think that it would amount to exile.
You don't? Okay, so hold on. Could you maybe I'm just not hearing you right. If I blaspheme God in your ideal society here, I should lose my citizenship? Or you're saying no, you shouldn't?
No, I'm saying you wouldn't have to worry about it because in a theonomic society or a Christian nationalist society, there would probably be blasphemy laws, and the punishment relating to breaking that law would probably relate to what the Bible says about blasphemy.
Okay, well, blasphemy, I believe in the Bible, is punishable by death, right?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Okay, so you think I should be killed for saying fuck God?
I think it's going to happen now or at the judgment, but yes.
Oh, wow. Well, fuck me then, right? I mean, I really don't like your fucking rape baby religion. So, I mean, I guess I'm pretty fucked in the future, huh?
You could be, or you could not be. Depends.
Oh, so like if I succumb to your religion, then I can save myself?
No, you can't save yourself. I can't save myself. No one can save themselves.
Right, but in your made up religion, in your not religion, in your made up like theonomic government there, like you would be, like you would support me getting the axe, like I would be unalived.
Probably wouldn't be an axe. But yeah, I look. I believe
Okay,
in the law
wow,
of God.
fuck you, Daniel. Fuck you all the way.
I do want to, if you would allow me, all I'm saying is this: to keep it consistent, there would be laws relating to the to biblical law, okay, or in some way relating to them, except translated into the culture. That's all. Now,
okay. I mean,
that's
you realize. Okay, so let me see how far this will go for you there, Daniel. Do you think that women should be able to be sold into sexual slavery?
I was listening to that part of the conversation earlier. How it translates into how the world is now, I don't imagine that would be an issue or a thing. But I'm not going to apologize.
So Exodus 20:17, which is the 10th commandment, lists women among property. Do you think that women should be treated as property?
I no. What I would. You've stopped me here, and I'm going to tell you why. What I'm trying to defend here is not necessarily the law verbatim. What I'm trying to say is that there is a principle in the law that would be followed in the law that we would have now, right? If you look,
okay,
at those
so institutionalizing sexual slavery like that's a possibility under your version, right?
I would imagine it wouldn't be with modern sensibilities. Perhaps. I don't think it would be right either, and I can tell you that.
Oh, okay. Well, what part of Christianity prohibits sexual slavery?
I mean, I'm not saying that the New Testament replaces the Old Testament and necessarily, but when we do get to the New Testament, it does address slaves, and it does tell them to avail themselves of the opportunity if they can be free. But
no. So that you're talking about Paul. What you're talking about? What Paul with Onesimus, and that's not a unified like call against slavery. That was a very specific situational thing for that one person, right? In fact, I believe it was in the Gospels where it says slaves obey your masters, right?
It was either in the Gospels or it was Paul, and whoever wrote it was saying, obey your masters, because wherever you are, whatever your station is, your point is that you serve the one true master, which is God. Okay, but had it been...
Right, so not a prohibition against slavery.
I don't imagine that we would have actual slavery in this country, in this idealized version of this country. No.
You realize
just making stuff up now. You're just making stuff up. This is fan fiction. You're just making stuff up.
Because you're not allowing. I mean, you're not allowing very much nuance on it. I can explain why.
I wasn't even here for like 5 minutes.
You, as a unified plural, okay. What I'm trying to get at here is, whenever it comes to the slavery talked about in the Bible, I do not deny that there was chattel slavery in the Bible. I do not deny that happened. Now, there was other types of slavery which you don't see it necessarily differentiated between as far as the name goes, but you said earlier, and you said it correctly, that is indentured servitude. Okay. The other part, there is chattel slavery. What I'm getting at here is that in the time that they lived in, there was slavery that across multiple nations, across multiple cultures, there was chattel slavery.
It was a different time, he says. It was a different time.
No, if you would shut up and let me finish, that would probably help.
Not on my own show. This is my show. This isn't my show, but
Yeah,
fuck you.
Yeah, this is our show. This is our show, Daniel. I'm sorry, you're not going to tell my co-host to shut up, okay? Especially when you're performing this poorly on this particular topic here. So I've muted you. You're muted because we are the ones in control here, okay, Daniel? So as long as the one thing, as soon as I unmute you, Daniel, I want to hear an apology because we haven't told you to shut up in this call yet. At least I don't think I have. But definitely Sydney hasn't told you to shut up. So I want you to come back on, and I want you to apologize right now for telling Sydney to shut up. So I'm unmuting you.
Sydney, I'm sorry for telling you to shut up. I would like to explain myself.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay.
I am constantly getting interrupted. This is a 3-person call, so it's not necessarily, I believe, intentional on your part. No, I'm saying, I'm sure. I'm just, as I'm giving nuance to be interrupted, it's just a little annoying, that's all. As I was saying, whenever it comes to the slavery thing, I'm not saying, oh, it was a different time and we just need to be okay with that. What I'm saying is that something that was not necessarily instituted by the law of God, but was permitted by the law of God was slavery. I can freely admit that. If you look at slaves in under Old Testament law in Israel, or however you want to call it, they were treated better than, say, the ones that were living under the Code of Hammurabi. They were treated better than slaves of other cultures, as were white. They absolutely were. They had more rights.
No.
They had
no. They did not. They did not. And I can explain it. I can explain it to you.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of times in the ancient Near Eastern culture, the Israelites had either similar or worse laws concerning slaves. One particular instance of this is that are you familiar with the Jubilee year, in that, you know, the indentured servants or the debt slaves could be enslaved for up to 6 years and being freed in the 7th, correct?
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. In the Code of Hammurabi, they were to serve 3 years and be released in the 4th year. So you saying that it was actually better in the Israelite culture is actually not substantiated at all. And that even goes further in the Code of Hammurabi and other ancient Near Eastern cultures, in that slaves were given the ability to even own land and all this other stuff, whereas in the Israelite culture, they were not. So it seems to me like other cultures actually treated their slaves a whole lot better than the Israelites, like on the whole.
Okay. Whenever someone who was living under the Code of Hammurabi, who was a slave, was beaten and, let's say, crippled by their master, whenever they were crippled by their master, did they have any, how do you say it, any recourse in court?
I wasn't there.
Well, yeah. So yes, in the Code of Hammurabi, like in those particular respects, the Israelite culture mirrors the ancient Near Eastern cultures. So yes, they did.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for that. Were they able to be freed, depending on the severity of how they were treated by their master?
Well, so that's debt slaves, and that's not all slaves. But I believe that there would have been a provision in there that would allow the debt slave to go free if the master was in some kind of way, I guess unduly harmful to them. Their point is that there were definitely laws on the books in the Code of Hammurabi that would do that.
Sure. My larger point over all of it, since we're talking about slavery under a new Christian nationalist or theonomic government, my larger point is that the circumstances of societies, plural, at the time, I think necessitated the law to be given as it was. We wouldn't have the law verbatim in a new theonomic society. It wouldn't be verbatim because it wouldn't be contextual society.
So you're saying that God is not omnipotent and not omniscient, and therefore has to be constrained by what society would allow him to do?
I I think you know I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that law in particular, at least the broader span of it, 613 of them, was given to a particular people at a particular time for a particular purpose. The principle of it, the general premise of it, is what we're after in a theonomic society or Christian nationalist.
Okay, well, see, so either chattel slavery and debt slavery, slavery in general, that's either bad or it's not. It can't be contextual for God, right? Because God is supposed to be eternal, right?
Right. No, I think chattel slavery is evil, and I can say that.
Right. So why did God prescribe chattel slavery to his people at that time if he knew that it was evil?
He didn't prescribe it, he permitted it.
No, he did prescribe it in multiple different ways. He prescribed sexual slavery, Numbers 31, 17 to 18, that's sexual slavery. And then there's let's see, the sexual, and then there's chattel slavery, Leviticus 25, 44 through 46. Debt slavery is also a version of slavery that I just don't agree with. But it would be evil in general. So like God prescribes these types of slaveries. So why did God prescribe evil?
I think he permitted it. I don't think that he prescribed it. Now, I guess you could say
why did God permit evil then? If God can make a commandment that does away, like that precludes the Israelites from practicing evil, why did he then prescribe something he knew was evil to be implemented by them?
I think at the time that I suppose what I'm trying to get at here is that in context with the culture and everything else, that while it may be evil or wrong, you could have varied definitions of any of those words. While it may be evil, just in a flat, plain sense, to have chattel slavery and all of that, what you do with these people, if you don't have them in those positions, is that you either leave them exiled in places that they don't know, or you leave them where they are without a roof, without shelter, that is a roof, food, or a way to provide for themselves or to be provided for. And I'm not saying that chattel slavery was necessarily a charity to them, but I believe it was the most charitable of what
you understand that God commands many different small things for the Israelite people at this time. Dietary laws, specifically stating like how they are to eat, what clothes they are to wear, even to the point of putting guardrails up on the roof. So you think that it was beyond God's omnipotent nature to be able to command the Israelites not keep slaves? Like you agree that God, if he's omnibenevolent, could have come up with a better system that would have accomplished the exact same thing that you think the slavery accomplishes, right? Other than taking away people's autonomy.
If by that you mean that he could have miraculously created some way, perhaps I do. Whenever it comes to
right. Is the miraculous a hard thing for God to do? Like, is there anything that, like, I just don't understand why you're using miraculous as if it's something that God can't do.
No, but I think that what we were dealing with are a bunch of people that God still would have considered sinful, just as he considered all people sinful, that he very well would have been justified in just having put to death, as he would have been very well justified in having any put to death. Now, that's not good for people to hear. They don't like hearing that. I don't care. That's just what
can I just say, they don't like hearing it because God creates the rules. God creates what the definition of sin is and what sins are, and then allows people, when he doesn't have to commit the exact sins he just personally deemed as sins, and then punishes them for the rules he set that he could change at any time, that he made people who have the ability to commit those sins, that if he really didn't want them to, he could have stopped them from doing it, and then punished them and made them slaves. That's why people don't like it. Because if it's real, it sounds awful.
Choosing to do wrong is what you're saying.
I'm saying he didn't have to make those rules. He could change the rules anytime he wants. He decided what a sin is. He decided what makes you a sinner. Then he gave people the ability to do those sins. And then he punished those people for committing sins that he could change to be not sins at any point. That's why people don't like it, because it's fucked up.
I mean, it might be fucked up in your view. That would take us down a long rabbit trail.
It's very fucked up.
I mean, it's definitely in opinion, because we could go through this whole rabbit trail or whatever, trying to figure out, like why sin is sin and why there is a moral standard, at least in the Christian worldview. We don't have to say universally if you don't want to agree to that. Okay, to say that God is messed up for having rules or God is messed up for setting a law and then allowing people to break it, I mean, that we could go down that. I don't think you want to.
No, you just covered it right there in that statement. You just covered it. There's no rabbit hole to go down. That's literally, you just covered it.
Think about it. Sure. I covered the scope with what you're willing to think about it. Sure.
No. You just covered what it is.
Exactly what it is. But.
So Daniel, we have been on the call for more than 40 minutes, and I appreciate you being up here and revealing all the horrible shit that you have. We do need to move on. We've got a couple more calls to take before we get to super chats. The final thing that I kind of want to say here is that theocracy and theonomy. Sorry, I'm having trouble pronouncing that. It's just a difference in scope, and you're not really advocating for anything different. Like, it's a distinction without a difference in that particular respect there. And so I really, huh?
I don't think that we really got into what the difference was very much. I don't think we have time, but I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, like the difference is the very thing that I said was the big difference at the beginning, whether or not the religious authorities are ruling the government or that the government is ruled by the religious authorities. That seems to be the big difference. As far as I can tell, I'm looking at the two definitions right now. So it's really a distinction without a difference here. But also I want to say that one thing that I want you to think about before you call in next time is that there's something that's really bothering me about how you described your magical government system here, is that you describe some kind of panel of multiple different denominations of Christians coming up with these laws. And if you just look at history, Christians have not been able to agree on any kind of like theology to the point where they would be able to work together on a board in this particular case, like you're describing. In fact, they've resorted to mass violence in order to resolve their differences in these particular situations. So the question that I'd like you to see you call in and sort of explain another time is, why do you think that now that we're in this Western civilization that you seem to think is oh so great and powerful, why do you think now Christians would want to come together and create this board of multiple different theologies and allow everybody to live in harmony, allow all Christians to live in harmony, as opposed to doing this endless war thing that y'all have done since Christianity began? That's what I would like to know next time.
Can I say one thing before we end our conversation with Daniel? Do you mind? Daniel, shut up.
Thank you.
Shut up. Goodbye.
Yep, and sorry, my finger slipped accidentally and hit the drop button. Daniel, I hope that you're listening and you will call in next time. But I thought it was really funny ending on that one. Be sure to send in your super chats. We'd love to interact with all super chats. That y'all, any questions that y'all have through super chats or anything like that, definitely send those in. And I hope that Daniel will call in on another time, especially if Matt Dillahunty is hosting. That would be awesome. And yes. Mug Brawl in the comment section. If you want to go and get a mug, I've got my mug here and it's fabulous. It's awesome. We do. Our last two callers are atheists, so this is going to be kind of easy. But are you ready for the next call?
Yes, and I would just like to tell everybody I'm sorry. When I was freaking out because I was just having an existential crisis during that call, I slammed my hand on the table and then I froze and I don't know what I did. So that was my fault. I'm sorry. I left and I came back and then I left and I came back. But it was I hope the vibes were correct. I hope you understand why I would be frustrated. Just slam my
The
hand
frozen
enough that it would.
screenshot faces you were making were perfect.
Yes. I was like reading the chat on my phone as it was going, and I was like, ah, crap, it is just me that's frozen. Oh no. So that was my fault. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Okay, so we've got Blake calling in from New York. Sorry, I can't come up with anything real quick. Blake, you're on the line. What would you like to talk about? Blake, you there?
Blake, are you there? It's me, God.
Hello? Is it me you're looking for, Blake? Blake, are you there?
Oh no. Don't Blake with my heart.
Okay. Well, I'm going to return Blake to the queue. Just so that I don't know if he'll get back on there. He's been hanging on for a while. But we do have Michael calling in from Canada. Let's see.
Hello.
Hey there, Michael. How you doing? You're on the line.
I'm doing great. I've just been enjoying this show. Sydney being so animated has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And especially getting frozen on just like the absolute face of disgust. That was great.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, cards on the table. I am an atheist, so that's why this call might be a little bit boring. But just like the prompt was, I think, God is fake. Prove us wrong. So up until recently, I was a pantheist. And I feel it's unfalsifiable. So I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. It's just been through, observing the genocide in Gaza and in the Sudan that I've kind of just spiritually sort of moved into a position of atheism. But I still have some strong feelings towards pantheism. And I'm just wondering how you guys feel about that, or...
Sydney, what are your thoughts?
I mean, when you say our thoughts, do you mean on pantheists or like how we feel on? Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand the question you're asking.
Well, the prompt is God is fake. Prove us wrong. So I think what you guys actually mean is probably theistic gods are fake. Prove us wrong. But it might be just an issue with your prompt, because I'm just like if we're observing like pantheism, and really, I guess the argument would be I'm just futzing with the definition of God, But just how do you disprove that?
I personally don't believe in any God at all. I don't believe in that there is a God that exists, whether it's Hercules, whether it's Zeus, whether it's the Christian God, whether it's like... I personally have not seen enough evidence to suggest that a God exists of any kind. That being said, if somebody were to say like, oh, well, I believe that there's a dirt God and it makes dirt. It's like, well, I see dirt. And like that's a longer conversation. But like in my personal opinion, if this is what you're asking, I don't believe that a God exists, no matter what kind of God we're talking about.
Okay. Well, it's really just a step back and sort of observing humanity, the world, the universe as sort of a super organism. It's almost like saying like all of
you mean
reality,
like an Earth God? Like Native American belief-ish?
It does actually, have some Native Canadian heritage. I'm Indigenous, so I think that's why I fell into pantheism. But yeah, it is sort of an all creator, but it also, when you see, I don't know, hippie white chicks talking about the universe, it's kind of that line of thinking.
I do not believe them either. I don't know. I'm like, I respect that everybody's allowed to believe whatever they want to believe, but I personally don't I don't believe in any kind of spiritual, metaphysical deity control. And I don't know. I feel like maybe, am I answering your question? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I was really just asking for your thoughts. I'm not sure I can really hold this position in any argumentative way since I've sort of left it. I don't know. Maybe this is a bit of a boring call.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're kind of at the end of the night here. I would say that if some belief system or some God that you're claiming is unfalsifiable, I don't see that as different from them not existing. Like if you're proposing some kind of unfalsifiable claim, then there's no point in me trying to work out whether or not it's true, because you're telling me by default up front it has to be true. Like there's no way that it cannot be true. And I just don't think that anything works like that. So
you verbalized it way better than me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good take. And really it is just a difference in perspective. You know, like we both agree that reality exists. So if I decide to title reality as God, then, you know, how can you really challenge that?
Well, I mean, I would challenge what your definition of God is, right?
Yeah, see, again, I think it's an issue with your prompt that you're really, you know, theistic gods are fake, you know?
I mean, I guess maybe it's me not understanding how it's possible to have a non-theistic God. To me, theists and gods are the same. Like, what kind of God, what's an example of a God that isn't a theistic God? I may just be missing something major.
Again, just pantheism is the view. Okay, so a theistic God would be the view that God is an entity that's tending the garden. And then the pantheistic view would be that God is the garden.
I don't believe in either of those.
Yeah, I know. Again, the counter would be that I'm just futzing with the definition of God. But yeah, again, that's why it's just. Well, yeah. That's why I stand by it being unfalsifiable.
Well, yeah, but again, like I said, if you're presenting something that's unfalsifiable, you're just telling me I have no choice but to accept this as true, and I just don't think that's accurate. But again, if you're going to be playing with definitions here, I just feel like what you're doing is you're changing the definition so that you can make it be true and have no recourse for it to be false. And I just don't think that's how reality works. And it's also not how language works. Like when we're talking about a God and you define God in the broadest way possible, I don't think that actually helps the conversation. I think that what that does is it defines God into just like a vague sort of sense to where it means nothing, right? You're defining God into nothingness. And I just don't think that it accomplishes anything for the conversation other than you're trying to craft the conversation so that you by default are true. And that's sort of a disingenuous way to approach it, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm not being disingenuous. Again, this is something I believed. And I think, again, it lines up with a lot of indigenous cultural beliefs. So I think it's just unfair to call it disingenuous. But no, I think your challenge to it is proper. I mean, to say that something is unfalsifiable would also mean that it's also unable to be proven. And then if something's unable to be proven, what does it really matter? I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's like, I don't think it's true. I don't think it's I don't think you could prove it true. I don't think you could prove it not true. I just don't think it matters. Yeah.
Yeah, because so I guess it just comes down to a comfort of perception. Yeah. But also, right. Just I'll get off. But one quick comment, Sydney was kind of feeling around for this with the last caller, but just when religion is a cultural practice, so when he's saying like I hate Muslims or Islam in general, like because it's a cultural practice, we associate it with a certain people, Middle Eastern people, with a race. So it is correct to call that person racist, but also just to sidestep it and call it prejudice. That's also, correct and great. So you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Michael. All right. Bye. All right. Awesome. Okay. So we do have Blake that's still in the queue. We're going to see if Blake can, if he's paying attention. And then that's going to be our last call for tonight. Let's see. Blake, you're on the line. Are you there? Blake, you're on the line. Are you there?
I think Blake's a ghost.
I think he fell asleep.
I think God's calling, and that's why we can't hear him.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so sorry, Blake. I hope that you'll call in again sometime in the future. But that's it for our calls tonight. This was great. I was really worried we weren't going to get a lot of calls because it's like a Saturday night. But we got a lot of great calls, a lot of great conversations going on. I don't know. So Sydney, how do you feel about your first time being on the line here?
This was awesome.
Did you enjoy
this
it?
was so much fun.
Yeah,
this was so much fun. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad that I got to make my debut with you as the lead host. I think you're a fantastic person. I feel like we always vibe really well. We always mesh really well. But no, I'm so glad to be here. I hope I didn't commandeer the conversation. I just felt a lot of feelings. And I thought it was great. I thought it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was worried about commandeering the conversation like too much on a couple of things. So that's why I tried to let you speak as much as possible, because I think people really need to hear what you have to say. So I hope I allowed you to speak as much as you wanted or needed to. But we do have super chats, so we're going to go back and forth. I'll start out. So we've got £5 from the Fuzzy Logic, who says, "So great to see Sydney on the line. I hope she makes more appearances in the future." Well, the way that you make that happen is by sending in super chats and asking us questions. That's how you make that kind of thing happen.
So I can make my mom and my dad send in super chats, and you'll invite me on more often?
Yeah,
that's what I'm
more
hearing.
Than likely, yeah.
Okay.
Can you do this one?
Oh, yes, of course. $5 from the Atheist Mechanic. What is the point of having free will if God punishes us for using it? Free will with terms and conditions. Also, I would just like to say that my brain automatically wondered what an atheist mechanic would be like. And then I'm like, oh, a normal mechanic. just a mechanic. Just a regular mechanic.
Yeah. I think that it's kind of weird how the Bible is like, oh, God gave us free will. And that's what you hear from Christian apologists all the time. But then at the same time, God's like, I'm going to punish you for using that free will now. It's like, you have to freely choose to do what I tell you to do. And only don't question it, just do it.
Yes. It's like if your friend is like, oh, I got an F on this test. Now I have to punch myself in the eye. And you're like, no, you don't. And they're like, yeah, I do. Yep, that's the rule I made. I got to punch myself in the eye. And you're like, you make the rules. You don't have to punch yourself. And then they just go for it, Yeah. That's how God is, I think.
All right, we've got 10 Australian bucks from Down Under from Misha 76. While that racists make it sound like white people are being killed, we are all just mixing our genetics and people are more mixed. That's all. What is the issue? That's a good question. I don't know what the issue exactly would be in that particular situation. Like what I wonder what their problem is.
The issue would be. We know what the issue would be. We know what the issue would be. $10 from Empress Lizard 81. I love that name, Empress Lizard. I hope Sydney becomes a regular on this channel. She is fantastic. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's probably my mom.
I agree. I agree. You are fantastic. Next is $20 from Joshua Everett, who says, "Worth it. Lux is our hero."
Yes.
For making Bandrew a reality. Yes.
That was awesome. That was the greatest soundbite I've ever heard. Just your response to him. That was so good. And then do I read this one too? Or the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or didn't I just read the last one, or did you?
You did. You did. I think you did.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
$5 from the atheist mechanic, who is just a normal mechanic. I wish we would stop labeling people. Thank you, Lux. You are amazing for banning Andrew like that.
Hell yeah. $10 Australian bucks from Down Under, who's from Misha 76. Thank you, Lux. Finally, Andrew is banned. Truly some disgusting essay apologetics last time that made him go from dumb that we can point to and laugh to truly disgusting and irredeemable. Thank you. I agree. I'm glad that we were able to get rid to make Bandrew a reality.
We made plenty of money off of him, and now we're reaching diminishing returns.
And then $10 from Misha. Any women in New Jersey, this is serious. Please stay safe from Andrew. This man has no respect for consent and is an incel at 19.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But he also said he voted for Trump in 2016, so I think he was just a liar.
Yeah. Oh, what? What? No way that man would lie.
We got $5 from Space Barbarian 3484. Aren't the only Bible passages you need Matthew 6:5 and 6:6? I've never been a Christian, so it just seems more efficient. Thanks, Lux. #Bandrew.
Bandrew. That needs to be a mug for one of your mug series. #Bandrew.
Let's see that Matthew 6:5 through 6. I'm not sure what that is. Prayer. Oh, it's the pray. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love pray. They love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their full reward. Yeah, go pray in your room, in your closet, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that if you got somebody that's trying to institute public prayer as a matter of like institutionalized prayer, I think that would be worth bringing that out for that.
Yes. And then $5 from GI Wonder Why. That's funny. I like that. Lux, you are my patron god. Thank you. You deserve all the good things. Also, I'm sorry for the all caps in my last comment. You are forgiven, GI Wonder Why.
$9.99 from Diluted Holy Water, who says, hell yeah, told Andrew who he is and why he's out. Mic drop. This is the best gift to all of us.
Merry Christmas. I love you all.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And then $20 from Idle Bits. #Bandrew. Well said, Lux. I'm so happy I got to hear that live.
I do think it's funny that I'm getting all this credit for banning him. And honestly, guys, it was a couple months where the hosts were like, do we have to? And I was like, yeah, we do. He makes us a lot of money. So that was also my fault.
That's really funny.
10 Australian bucks from Down Under, Darren McAuliffe. Sorry if I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. McAuliffe. Well played, Lux. I enjoyed Andrew's call, but the last call showed that he isn't learning. As Jimmy said, he will learn that a lack of a yes isn't consent because he's headed towards prison. #Team Lux.
Whoa. Meow, meow, meow.
You can get a #Team Lux mug on the mug contest.
Linemerch.com.
And then $10 from Night Owl, Ohio. Sydney's face has no filter and I'm here for it. I'm afflicted with the same issue and my boss gets a kick out of it. Yes, my eyeballs don't lie. I've been on shows before where they're like, look, she's scared. And I'm like, I'm not scared. I just got big old eyeballs. That's just what they look like. Not scared though.
Next $10 from Down Under from Misha 76 again. May already be answered, late to join the live, but so happy I got here to see Bandrew live. But is Sydney a guest or joining as a regular? Love the no filter face Sydney and always love seeing GE.
So much love in these comments. My goodness.
I know. I mean, I think you'd be right at home here, but that's not my decision. But I do think that you've been awesome tonight, and I think that the audience loves you too.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. I was so stoked when you invited me to join. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then $9.99 from Daniel the Manual. Love seeing Sydney on the line. I swear I didn't I'm not just having people comment this stuff so I can read it out loud. Love seeing Sydney on the line. Thanks for the show to you both and have a happy new year. Wouldn't that be funny if I just had people donate $1,000 just to pressure you guys into having me back? Just big time. Just
oh no, I would hate that so much.
$100. I'm going to unsubscribe if you don't have her. Hashtag Bandrew.
$5 from Never Had a Bidet. That's sad. Bidets are awesome. Daniel is a victim of Christian brainwashing as the MAGA cult, and the MAGA cult, as are we. YouTube won't let me say what really needs to be said. Eye roll. I'm not sure what needs to be said other than maybe fuck Andrew. I'm not sure.
Shut up, Andrew. Shut up. $10 from Mr. Boricua 10. Andrew, disgusting, brain rot, worm brain, mealy mouth, capricious, irredeemable, hateful, megalomaniacal, garbage, fermented, putrid pustule of pestilence is banned. Daniel, you are no different. Damn.
Wow.
Oh,
damn.
I feel that burn.
Damn, Daniel. No. $10 from Dirty Base Atheist. Why do people so uninformed insist on calling into these shows just to prove how uninformed they are? Did they read a fucking thing before calling?
Yeah, I was shooketh by I've been on theist channels before. I at least did my homework before joining these. What is going on? I was shook, but that's okay. $5 from Mr. Boricua 10. Addendum, pronounced Boricua. I'm so sorry. Boricua. Roll the R. Boricua. Roll the R a teensy bit. Good to see you on the line, Sydney. Love your work. Great stuff. Love your spice. Spice. I don't know why I keep doing this. I have no idea. It's been a long day. I have no idea what's going on.
Jazz hands.
Jazz fingers. I'm casting a spell.
$4.99 from I Am the Big Cheese. Bible is anti-liberty and anti-democracy. Yeah, I would agree. It's both of those things. Yeah,
that's the point, though. And they're proud of that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand about the Constitution is that it's actually antithetical to the Bible, and people just don't think about that when they call in.
$5. Wait, did I read the last one? You read the last one.
I think I read it.
Okay. $5 from Never Had a Bidet. I'm just going to read this one in what I imagine your voice sounds like. Let me translate what Daniel is saying. God is a piece of shit fuckface. Thank you.
That's the perfect accent to use for that. $5 from Never Had a Bidet. I'll read it in a different kind of accent.
That's just who I imagine uses bidets.
Did you know that you can type fuck on a super chat, but you can't call a racist a racist? That's interesting.
That is interesting. That's very interesting. $5 from Tons of Mice. Shut up, Daniel. Shut up.
$5 from Detroit's Atheist Queen 24/7. Always good to see the beautiful, equally talented Sydney on here. Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I know who that is, but I won't use their government name on here in case they don't want me to. Thank you. Thank you. And then $5 from Joshua Everett 9887. Just to say I started it way back when. Hashtag Daniel.
Daniel. I hope Daniel does call in. We need a good replacement for Andrew. And I think Daniel could be that replacement. $5 from Foxy Luminata, who says, I'm going to create a government where the only law is Daniel gets fed to lions. Surely his God will save him. Like the biblical Daniel, right? Hey, there's only one way to test that theory.
Hey, I don't make the rules. That's just $4.99 from someone's muse. Clap, clap.
Oh yeah, I think it was the Q&A line account was like something about banning Andrew. Clap,
Yeah, that was
clap.
Me. I was like, if you're happy Andrew's banned, what did I say? It was something, and I don't know. I don't remember what it was like. I was going off of the, if you're happy and you know it, da-da-da. So, yeah. Also, everybody missed my masturbation joke in there. I was like, if you're happy Andrew's banned and you think he loves his hand, if you're happy Andrew's banned. Yeah.
Not gonna
That's
lie,
great.
I thought this was like a clap in cheeks joke, which I think still fits. I think still fits.
$5 from Dirty Bass Atheist. Clap, clap from Monkey at a Typewriter. I guess Monkey couldn't send in the super chat, so Dirty Bass Atheist did it.
$5 from Detroit Atheist Queen 24/7. I know it's Sydney's first time on here, but did you see what I did earlier? Oh, but you see what I did earlier. Sorry, I misunderstood. I was like, what did you do earlier? I time on here, but you see what I did earlier. Yes, yes.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887 says, I will be sending an additional $5 super chat to every show I attend until Feb for making Bandrew a reality. Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
That is awesome.
You know, as much if we can milk him being banned a little bit longer, like that'll just be great.
That would actually be awesome. $5 from Never Had a Bidet. Those impressions of me were spot on. Yes.
All right. So that's going to be it for tonight. It was an awesome show tonight. I really appreciate everybody, taking part in the chats over there, taking part in the polls. Everybody that sent in a super chat, y'all are awesome. Thank you so much to Lex for producing, for Jessica for doing the screening on the back end. Thanks to all the moderators in the comments, and especially thank you, Sydney, for coming on, using your Saturday night to come on here and have conversations with some of them being idiots.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you for the invite. I'm so excited to be here. I had a wonderful time. I have nothing but positive things to say about the experience. This is a great way to spend a Saturday night, in my opinion.
Awesome. See y'all later. Bye, heathens.